Chapter 1837. A second revolution half-saint had sent an eighth revolution half-saint Ironheart ape flying with a single punch. Everyone felt as if they were dreaming. Ironheart ape was the peerless genius of the Iron family. His combat strength was extraordinary. Legend had it that his physical body was unparalleled. He possessed the bloodline of the ancient demon ape. However, his physical body was inferior to a second revolution half-saint. Who is he? Everyone had the same question in their hearts. While everyone was in a daze, Ling Xiao didn't have time to check the gold core. He directly kept it in the wordless heavenly book. Boy, hand over the gold core or die. Ironheart ape leaped up and blocked Ling Xiao's path. His body was surrounded by a violent aura. His face was ugly, and his eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. He was incomparably shocked in his heart. He hadn't expected that a mere second revolution half-step sage would possess such a formidable physical strength. That punch had numbed his arm. He felt as if he had collided head-on with an expert of the dragon race. Could it be that this person was an expert from the dragon tribe? Ironheart ape couldn't imagine that an expert from the human tribe could have such a terrifying physical body. I opened the alchemy furnace and snatched the gold core. Why should I give it to you? Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. His expression was very calm. Boy, don't think that you have the right to behave atrociously in front of me just because you can block my punch. Since you don't want to hand it over, I'll take it myself. Ironheart ape's eyes flashed with killing intent. He slammed his palm toward Ling Xiao. At the same time, the high-level half-saints recovered from their shock. Their eyes were filled with greed as they rushed toward Ling Xiao. Although Ling Xiao's physical body was very strong, they didn't think that he could escape unscathed from the siege of so many people. You're courting death. Ling Xiao sneered. The blazing golden light in his eyes suddenly bloomed. Boom! The flipping sky seal erupted with a vast light. It instantly soared into the sky like a black mountain. It was ancient and mysterious, as if it could suppress the heavens. It smashed toward Ironheart ape and the other experts. Unparalleled divine light bloomed. Everyone's various magical powers blasted onto the flipping sky seal, but there was not even the slightest ripple. They were all annihilated in an instant. Under that terrifying suppressive force, everyone's expression changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with incomparable terror. This is the flipping sky seal of the war god temple? Someone exclaimed. His voice was trembling violently, and he instantly wanted to escape. However, when the flipping sky seal pressed down with all its might, the terrifying power formed a vast and ancient domain, as if it wanted to turn all life into dust. Puff! Several 7th Revolution half-saints were unable to resist the power of the flipping sky seal. They were instantly turned into blood mists. Their primordial spirits were wrapped up by the holy badge and left the void saint world. The 2-9 Revolution half-saint experts fought desperately. Although they were seriously injured by the flipping sky seal and half of their bodies were smashed, they managed to escape with their lives intact. Ironheart ape also felt the fatal danger from the flipping sky seal. A purple gold long rod appeared in his palm, exuding an unparalleled holy power. It was a powerful holy treasure. He slammed it towards the flipping sky seal. Bang! The Ironheart ape felt as if he had been struck by lightning. The purple gold staff in his hand trembled violently, and his 2 arms suddenly exploded into powder. His entire body was directly sent flying. Blood gushed out of his mouth, and his eyes were filled with incomparable shock. Flipping sky seal, it's actually the flipping sky seal? He is the master of the war god temple. Long Out Yen. Ironheart ape's eyes were filled with unwillingness. At the same time, his gaze towards the flipping sky seal was filled with greed and awe. The flipping sky seal, this legendary treasure, had finally appeared in front of everyone. Get lost! Ling Xiao did not chase after Ironheart ape and the others. Cold, killing intent surged in his eyes. He saw that Xiao Rei was chasing after Jin Sei, trying to snatch the gold elixir in her hands. The flipping sky seal rumbled forward, blooming with blazing light, and directly suppressed Xiao Rui. Xiao Rui's expression changed drastically. He also saw the miserable end of Ironheart Ape and the others, and he also heard the crowd shouting for the flipping sky seal. At this moment, seeing that Ling Xiao was rushing towards him, how could he still care about chasing after Jinsei? Xiao Rui's body suddenly flashed, and he fled into the distance in a sorry state. The black-robed elder who followed Xiao Rui roared, "Don't hurt my young master." The black-robed elder pushed his palms forward, and terrifying holy power erupted. He wanted to push the flipping sky seal away. Otherwise, with Xiao Rui's strength, he would not be able to withstand such a terrifying blow from the flipping sky seal. Boom! The flipping sky seal came across the sky and instantly pierced through the layers of holy power boundaries in front of the black-robed elder. The black-robed elder's arms suddenly exploded, and his entire body trembled violently. Blood spurted from his 7 orifices, and he was directly sent flying. "Young master, let's go." The black-robed elder was terrified, and his eyes were filled with horror. He forcibly supported his severely injured body, and directly rushed out of the Alchemy Palace's door with Xiao Ru. Ling Xiao did not chase after Xiao Ru. Instead, he went directly to Jinsei and asked with concern, "Jinsei, are you all right?" "I'm fine." Jinsei shook her head, and there was a strange look in her eyes. Just now, Ling Xiao desperately came to save her, and it gave Jinsei a very familiar feeling. However, she could not recall it. Unknowingly, ripples seemed to have appeared in her calm heart. As for the 3rd golden pill, it was snatched by Lin Shi, and Huang Xuanzong was a little depressed as he missed it. "So he is the new battle hall master of the War God Hall, Long Outyan." Someone looked at Ling Xiao with incomparable reverence. To be able to make the flipping sky seal recognize him as its master, this palace master Long is indeed not ordinary. The flipping sky seal is a top holy treasure. 1,000,000 years ago, in the hands of the Scarlet Dragon War God, it slaughtered many saints and shocked the entire divine world. It is a legendary treasure. However, this palace master Long is so flamboyant. I'm afraid it's not a good thing. That's right. After all, he is relying on external forces, and not his own cultivation. Without the flipping sky seal, he is no match for young Master Tai and young Master Xiao. Everyone discussed softly. Some were shocked, some were jealous, but without a doubt, no one dared to make a move against Ling Xiao. Chapter 1838. Let's go. Tai Xingyuan's expression was extremely ugly. He looked at Ling Xiao coldly and left the Alchemy Palace with his subordinates. He was also afraid that Ling Xiao would continue to attack him. If he continued to stay, he would only be humiliating himself. "Are you the hall master of the War God Temple, Long Outyan?" Lin Shi looked at Ling Xiao curiously and asked. The flipping sky seal floated above Ling Xiao's head, giving him a majestic and overbearing aura. Everyone seemed to have unconsciously overlooked Ling Xiao's cultivation. At this moment, no one dared to look down on Ling Xiao. "It's me," Ling Xiao said indifferently. His aura and appearance had been changed, so he was not afraid of being recognized by Lin Shi. "Have we met before? Why do I feel that you are very familiar?" Lin Shi looked as if she was not afraid of Ling Xiao at all. She looked at Ling Xiao carefully and smiled. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He had obviously used the heaven-shrouding secret skill to change his aura. Could it be that he was recognized by Lin Shi? However, he still said coldly, "Miss Lin, I'm afraid you have remembered wrongly. We have not met before." "All right." Lin Shi smiled charmingly and looked at Ling Xiao meaningfully. Then, she turned and left the Alchemy Palace. "Let's go too," Ling Xiao said to Jinsei. Almost all the alchemy furnaces in the Alchemy Palace had been opened. There was no point in staying any longer. However, the true inheritance of the Hunyuan alchemy saint had not appeared yet. "All right. Do you know the origin of the 3 golden elixirs?" Jinsei asked curiously. That alchemy furnace was very ordinary, but Ling Xiao had discovered it and created such a terrifying scene. This made Jinsei curious about the origin of the 3 golden elixirs. "If I'm not wrong, those 3 golden elixirs should be the Hunyuan golden elixirs." Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he transmitted his voice to Jinsei. His voice was slightly excited. According to what the blind Taoist had told Ling Xiao, the Hunyuan golden elixir created by the Hunyuan elixir saint was an extremely precious divine elixir that could help a 9th revolution half-saint to become a saint. It was extremely mysterious and contained the power of the origin of the Great Way. After Ling Xiao obtained the golden core, he could sense the terrifying power contained within it. It was as vast as the sea. It was very likely that it was the Hunyuan golden core created by the Hunyuan Dan saint. Ling Xiao did not hide anything from Jin Se and told her about the Hunyuan pill saint and the Hunyuan golden pill. Primordial chaos golden core? It was indeed a supreme treasure. I'm afraid that all the holy pills in the entire alchemy palace combined can't even compare to these 3 primordial chaos golden pills. Jin Se was also slightly moved. That's right. However, the 3rd Hunyuan golden dan fell into Lin Shi's hands. In any case, she doesn't recognize the Hunyuan golden dan. It seems that I have to find a chance to take it back from her. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He had his eyes on the 3rd mixed yuan golden pill. Ling Xiao and Jin Se flew out of the alchemy palace together and continued towards the depths of the secret territory. This was a very vast building complex. The palaces and pavilions looked ancient and grand. Some had powerful restrictions, while others had wide open doors. The treasures within were open for anyone to take. Ling Xiao and Jin Se opened a few pavilions and pagodas. They discovered that there were some semi-sage treasures and even the martial skills of divine kings and semi-sage. However, they did not see any true holy treasures or the inheritance of the Hunyuan Dan saint. It seems that the most precious treasure should be in that pagoda. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and landed on the pagoda in the center of the secret territory. It was a 9-story pagoda. Its entire body was sparkling and translucent like glass. It exuded an extremely powerful aura. It was unknown what material it was made of, but it was shrouded in an extremely terrifying cloud formation. The cloud formation made the 9-story pagoda seem extremely mysterious and peaceful. It shone resplendently under the sunlight, giving it an aura of zen and nature. Many people had already gathered below the 9-floored pagoda, but no one was able to break through the formation of clouds and mist. There were some who were bold enough to force their way through the formation of clouds and mist, but they all died within the formation of clouds and mist as expected. Ling Xiao and Jin Se stood in a pavilion and looked at the 9-story pagoda from afar. Is the inheritance of the Hunyuan Dan saint really in the 9-story pagoda? Jin Se seemed to be asking Ling Xiao, but also seemed to be talking to herself. I don't know. Perhaps. However, don't you feel that this secret territory is a little too strange? From the saintly liquid galaxy to the alchemy palace, to the countless pavilions here, there are so many treasures. There are basically no formations or restrictions protecting them. It's like they're waiting for people to come. Ling Xiao said slowly. There was a strange light in his eyes as he looked at the 9-story pagoda in the distance. Have you discovered something wrong? Jin Se asked. I just feel that it's a little too easy for us to plunder the treasures in this secret territory. Since the Hunyuan Dan saint left behind this secret territory, I'm afraid that the most important thing is still to find a successor for his inheritance. Ling Xiao said slowly. There was a wisp of wisdom in his eyes. When we analyze the Hunyuan Dan saint's goal, we need to analyze the Hunyuan Dan saint's goal first. The greatest possibility is that he wants to find a successor. Then where are the tests and assessments that he set up? It can't be that all the treasures were plundered by everyone and then set up an assessment in the 9-story pagoda, right? Jin Se nodded and said, You're right. If I were the Hunyuan Dan saint, it's impossible for me to leave like this. The most likely is to set up an assessment first. Only by passing the final assessment and becoming the Hunyuan Dan saint's successor will one have the qualifications to inherit all of this. Ling Xiao smiled slightly and said, That's right. Therefore, either the Hunyuan Dan saint's assessment is the cloud formation at the entrance of the secret territory. Or all of this is a pretense. He's not selecting a successor at all. All of this is to attract everyone to this 9-story pagoda. Attract everyone to the 9-story pagoda? What does the Hunyuan Dan saint want to do? Could it be that he's not dead yet? Jin Se was also slightly surprised. Don't know. Maybe it's the Hunyuan Dan saint's arm, or maybe it's not the Hunyuan Dan saint. Ling Zhao's gaze became somewhat fierce. The wordless heavenly book in his sea of consciousness trembled slightly, flickering between brightness and darkness, emitting a mysterious undulation. It was somewhat excited and agitated, as if it sensed something and also seemed to be warning Ling Xiao. The wordless heavenly book showing this kind of undulation, Ling Xiao had encountered it before too. That was when a fiend race powerhouse appeared nearby. The wordless heavenly book would only give this kind of warning. In other words, there were fiend race powerhouses existing in this secret territory. Chapter 1839. The textless heavenly book seemed to be the nemesis of the devil race. Every time a devil race expert appeared, the textless heavenly book would be extremely excited. Even those precious treasures couldn't be compared to this excitement. There seemed to be a strange fate between the textless heavenly book and the devil race. It must end with the destruction of one side. Ever since Ling Xiao had entered the primordial mystery realm, he had felt that something was wrong. An indescribable sense of crisis had filled his heart. This was especially true when he saw the 9-story pagoda. That sense of crisis had reached its peak, and even the wordless heavenly book had begun to warn him. Ling Xiao was sure that there was a devil race expert in this 9-storied pagoda. Ling Xiao, after hearing what you said, I found that the cloud formation is actually a sealing formation. Could it be that it exists to seal the 9-storied pagoda? Jin Se's eyes revealed a trace of strange color. The cloud formation surrounding the 9-storied pagoda looked very strange. The clouds were steaming and the sea of clouds was floating. The 9-storied pagoda was faintly discernible. It looked very dreamy and mysterious. However, the cloud formation was very terrifying. Ordinary people had no way to enter it. Those who rashly entered the formation had already died inside. They couldn't come out again. Maybe, but I'm not willing to leave like this. The inheritance of the primal chaos pill saint may be in this 9-storied pagoda. As the saying goes, wealth comes from danger. I really want to see what dangers there are in this 9-storied pagoda. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Since they had come to the primal chaos secret realm, and it was the place of inheritance left by the primal chaos pill saint, they naturally couldn't return empty-handed. Well, let's go in and see. I think those people should have the means to open the cloud formation. Jin Se said lightly. Her eyes fell on Lin Shi, Xiao'er, Tai Xinyuan, Huang Xuanzong and others in the distance. At this moment, everyone had already gathered in front of the cloud formation. However, they were somewhat at a loss. They had thought that a 7th revolution half-saint had died in the cloud formation. This made everyone understand the terror of the cloud formation. So, they didn't dare to rashly enter the formation. Huang Xuanzong's eyes flashed. He looked at Lin Shi, Xiao'er, and Tai Xinyuan and said, I have a treasure that might be able to break open this great cloud formation. However, I need your help. Brother Huang actually has a way? Of course we're willing to help. Both Xiao'er and Iron-Hearted Yuan were shocked as they smiled. Pill Talisman Mountain had a good relationship with the 5 Elements Sacred Sect. Xiao Clan and Tai Clan were even more inclined towards the 5 Elements Sacred Sect. Therefore, they spoke very casually and had a certain understanding and trust of each other. Everyone was not stupid. They had already guessed that the inheritance of the ancient saints was likely to be in the 9-story pagoda. Being able to open the great cloudy mist array would naturally give them the upper hand. Huang Xuanzong said with an indifferent smile. Then, a sparkling and translucent holy treasure appeared in his palm. It was emitting 5-colored divine radiance. It looked very ancient. Its entire body was streamlined. It was a shuttle-shaped magic treasure. This is the 5 Elements Space-Breaking Shuttle, a powerful holy treasure of our 5 Elements Saint sect. It is said to be unbreakable and unbreakable. It is very powerful and will definitely be able to break this cloud formation. However, the 5 Elements Void-Shattering Shuttle consumed a great deal of saint energy. The more saint energy that was poured into it, the more powerful it would be. Therefore, I need everyone's help to activate the 5 elements void-shattering shuttle together and break through this cloud formation. Huang Xuanzong said slowly. There's actually such a unique treasure? Since that's the case, there's no time to lose. Let's activate the 5 elements void-shattering shuttle to break the formation. Xiao Rui's eyes suddenly lit up. His eyesight was very sharp. He could see that the 5 elements void-shattering shuttle was extraordinary at a glance. It was very much like an ancient treasure. It was ancient, mysterious, and contained a kind of power that could break through restrictions. That's right. Everyone should have no objections, right? Only by breaking the great cloudy mist array can we enter the 9-story pagoda. Tai Xingyun also glanced at everyone and said, "Of course, we have no objections." Everyone nodded and agreed. Anyway, it was just consuming some saint energy. As long as they could break the great cloudy mist array, it was not a problem at all. After I activate the 5 elements void-shattering shuttle, everyone will pour in saint energy. As long as we work together, we will definitely be able to break the great cloudy mist array in one fell swoop. Huang Xuanzong said with great satisfaction. As a light flashed in Huang Xuanzong's palm, the 5 elements void-shattering shuttle suddenly emitted a strange sound wave. It expanded in front of everyone and emitted an incomparably powerful energy fluctuation. Rumble! Everyone immediately unleashed their cultivation and poured their majestic saint energy into the 5 elements void-shattering shuttle. Suddenly, a blazing light bloomed. The 5 elements void-shattering shuttle's aura became stronger and stronger. The light also became more and more resplendent. It directly turned into a streamer and shot into the clouds. Kacha! The 5 elements void-shattering shuttle broke through the layers of clouds as if it had triggered a terrifying restriction. Suddenly, lightning flashed and the surrounding void trembled violently. Black mist spread out and lightning flashed down. It was as if it wanted to completely destroy the 5 elements void-shattering shuttle. Boom! 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 The 5 elements void-shattering shuttle was incomparably sturdy. It emitted an immortal and indestructible light. It shuttled back and forth in the great cloudy mist array. Although its speed was not fast, wherever it went, the black restriction runes collapsed one after another. The clouds also began to slowly dissipate. 5 elements void-shattering shuttle? What a strange saint treasure. It can actually directly target the restriction origin and break the power of the array. Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Huang Xuanzong was indeed the holy son of the 5 elements saint sect. This 5 elements void-shattering shuttle was definitely not an ordinary saint treasure. Such a powerful great cloudy mist array actually began to collapse in front of the 5 elements void-shattering shuttle. Boom! The clouds dissipated one after another. In the end, it seemed to form a chain reaction. The 5 elements void-shattering shuttle's speed also became faster and faster. Bright golden light bloomed. In an instant, all the arrays were broken. The great cloudy mist array also completely dissipated. The 9-story pagoda emitted a gorgeous light. It was crystal clear like glass and appeared in front of everyone. The holy son of the Xuanzong is still the best. Such a terrifying great cloudy mist array is an incomparably powerful saint array. I didn't expect it to be broken so easily. Everyone exclaimed. Although breaking the misty cloud formation had consumed more than half of their saint energy, the result was still very pleasantly surprised. With the misty cloud formation broken, there was nothing else that could stop them from entering the 9-floored pagoda. Let's go! Chapter 1840. Swoosh! The door of the 9-floored pagoda opened with a loud bang. Huang Xuanzong took the lead and led the few people from the 5 elements saint sect into a few streams of light, shooting into the 9-floored pagoda. The most precious treasure in the entire secret realm, even the inheritance of the saint, must be in this 9-floored pagoda. Let's go! Xiao Rui and Tai Xingyuan looked at each other and followed closely behind Huang Xuanzong, rushing into the 9-floored pagoda. Swoosh! 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 Everyone's eyes were blazing, their faces were filled with excitement as they rushed into the 9-floored pagoda one after another. Let's go in and have a look. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Although the 5 elements void-shattering shuttle was extremely extraordinary, it was still out of Ling Zhao's expectation that the Great Cloud Array could be broken so easily. He thought for a while and decided to enter the 9-floored pagoda to have a look. Inside the 9-floored pagoda, there was a strange world hidden. The land was vast and the sky was dusky. The first thing that appeared in front of everyone was actually a pile of bones. Those bones were densely packed, as if they couldn't see the end of it. They were all human bones, sitting neatly on the ground. There wasn't a trace of malevolence on their faces. They looked very peaceful and even had a trace of intoxication. Such a scene made everyone's scalp tingle and their bodies feel cold. "Why are there so many bones?" someone exclaimed, his voice trembling uncontrollably. Looking at those skeletons, everyone could tell that those skeletons belonged to mortals below the divine spirit realm. In this world, there were tens of millions of skeletons, and it was incomparably shocking. Isn't this the saint's secret realm? How could there be so many corpses left behind? What the hell is going on here? Everyone felt a chill run down their spines. Even their breathing became extremely careful. The door of the 9-floored pagoda opened, and everyone entered this space. It was as if some kind of balance had been broken. Those mortal bones were blown by the breeze and instantly turned into fine powder. Rumble! The corpses of countless mortals were reduced to dust, and it was as if a storm had been set off in the entire space. The ashes danced in the air like powerful tornadoes, surging toward the crowd. Not good. These bone ashes are highly toxic. Huang Xuanzong's complexion changed, and he hastily roared. In an instant, his entire body shone with radiance, and the 5 elements void-breaking shuttle appeared above his head, and formed a powerful defensive barrier, protecting him and the people of the 5 elements saint sect. After that, the shuttle flew towards the void. "I can't let the ashes touch my skin. These bone ashes are too evil. They actually contain the power of curses?" The crowd was instantly thrown into chaos. Everyone's eyes were filled with terror. That storm came too suddenly. Everyone's entry broke some kind of balance, causing those skeletons to turn into ashes that fluttered in the air, forming an incomparably mysterious and evil corpse poison. A young girl who was only a first revolution half-saint didn't notice the bone ashes. She was careless and was instantly swept up by the storm. Her entire body was wrapped up. Sizzle! The girl, who could be considered pretty, began to burn instantly. Black flames appeared all over her body, and her pretty face was disfigured. The ashes were like tarsal bones, and when they landed on her body, they turned into evil flames. Save me! The young girl screamed miserably. That kind of voice made people's hair stand on end, and they couldn't help but shiver all over. However, no one went to save the young girl, or it could be said that it was too late. After she screamed a few times, her flesh and blood were incinerated into nothingness, leaving behind only a set of white bones, which floated on the ground. However, the expression on her face was very peaceful and intoxicated, and it was incomparably strange. The most important thing was that even the silver holy badge between the young girl's eyebrows was incinerated into nothingness. Everyone had a premonition that the young girl didn't even return to the divine world, and had thoroughly died here. And this thought made everyone incomparably terrified. What is this place? It's too strange. Everyone was incomparably terrified, and some of them even wanted to leave this place. But what made him despair was that the door of the 9-floored pagoda had completely disappeared, and everyone seemed to be trapped in this 9-floored pagoda. Those bone ashes actually contain the original power of the Devil Dao? A sharp light flashed in Ling Zhao's eyes, and he was incomparably shocked in his heart. The wordless heavenly book seemed to have an incomparable desire for that power, and it even wanted to fly out from between Ling Zhao's eyebrows to devour the bone ashes that filled the sky. The reason why the divine world and the devil world were mortal enemies was because the original power of the divine world and the devil world were like the opposites of black and white, light and evil, water and fire. There was no way for them to coexist, and they had to fight to the death. Therefore, the original power of the devil world was naturally highly toxic to the experts of the human race. As long as one wasn't a true sage, one wouldn't be able to resist the invasion of this power at all. Could it be that there's an expert of the Devil Saint level here? Thinking of this, Ling Zhao's heart became even more cautious. However, the original power of the Devil Dao in those bone ashes was very little, and as long as one used a power to isolate it in advance and didn't come into contact with the bone ashes, there wouldn't be any problem. That young girl was just too unlucky and a little too careless. As expected, other than that young girl, no one else was contaminated by the bone ashes, and their bodies burned with black flames. This should be the first level of the 9-floored pagoda. Let's go find the passage to the second level. Someone stared at the void above and said, since there was no way out, they could only continue forward. Anyway, everyone could feel that although the bone ashes were strange, they weren't too dangerous. For everyone, as long as they were careful, there wouldn't be too much of a problem. Sure enough, at the center of the first level, they found the passage to the second level. Everyone followed the passage and entered the second level. Why are there still so many skeletons? This time, everyone was a little uneasy. The second level was still full of skeletons. Although there were fewer skeletons than the first level, there were at least 1 million skeletons as far as the eye could see. Those skeletons were all dressed in coarse clothes, and they were also neatly sitting cross-legged on the ground. It could be vaguely seen that their cultivation should have reached the divine realm when they were alive. More than 1 million skeletons of the divine realm were terrifying, and they were even more curious about what had happened here. Boom! Chapter 1841. Look, the passageway to the first floor has disappeared. Someone shouted in horror. His eyes were filled with fear. Everyone couldn't help but tremble. Sure enough, the passageway from the first floor to the second floor had disappeared without a trace. Everyone suddenly felt a chill down their backs. It was as if an invisible hand was manipulating everything. An incomparably oppressive feeling shrouded everyone's heart, and everyone's eyes became incomparably solemn. Although the bone storm formed by the skeletons on the second floor didn't cause any casualties, everyone could clearly feel that the power of the storm was much stronger than the first floor. Let's go. Let's continue forward. I want to see who's behind this. Huang Xuanzong's eyes flickered with a cold light, and his face was incomparably gloomy. He led the people from the 5 Elements Saint sect to the 3rd floor. Everyone had no way out, and it seemed that they could only move forward. No one knew what awaited them in the 9-floored pagoda, and no one knew if it was an opportunity or destruction. On the 3rd floor, there were hundreds of thousands of skeletons, dressed in green robes, neatly sitting in front of everyone. Obviously, these skeletons were much stronger than those on the 2nd floor. Look at the symbol on the green robes. Someone exclaimed in surprise. Everyone saw that there was a golden sun embroidered on the green robes. It was dazzling, and within the sun, there was a black alchemy cauldron. Sun, moon, alchemy cauldron. What did this mean? Many people revealed a trace of doubt in their eyes. This is the symbol of the ancient sun-moon alchemy sect. Legend has it that the most powerful chaotic yuan alchemy saint came from the sun-moon alchemy sect. Could these people be the disciples of the sun-moon alchemy sect? Lin Shi's eyes flickered, as if she had thought of something, and said slowly, Pill Talisman Mountain was the current Pill Talisman Holy Land, and naturally had a certain understanding of the alchemy Holy Land of the ancient times. Although the sun-moon alchemy sect had a long history, Lin Shi still recognized the meaning of the sun, moon, and alchemy cauldron. Sun-moon alchemy sect? Wasn't it rumored that the sun-moon alchemy sect was destroyed in the demon calamity of the ancient times? Why would it appear here? Xiao Rui and Tai Xingyuan looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with shock. A disciple of the sun-moon elixir sect? From the 2nd level's black robes to this level's green robes, could it be that the next few levels are filled with the corpses of the sun-moon elixir sect members? Huang Xuanzong said slowly. His eyes were filled with seriousness. No matter what, we have no way out. Look, the passageway to the 2nd floor has already disappeared. Let's continue forward. Lin Shi sighed softly. Ever since everyone entered the 9-story pagoda, It was as if they had fallen into a huge conspiracy and trap. Everything could only proceed according to the thoughts of the mastermind behind the scenes. There was no room for retreat at all. There were more than 10,000 experts here, and no one knew what the mastermind was plotting. Everyone's hearts were shrouded in a thick shadow. On the fourth level, there were tens of thousands of skeletons, all of them wearing long silver robes. According to everyone's guesses, the corpses should have reached the level of god kings when they were alive. Even in the ancient Sun-Moon Pill sect, they should have been inner disciples. Tens of thousands of inner sect disciples were also turned into ashes. However, the storm was extremely terrifying, making it increasingly strenuous for everyone to resist it. Everyone stepped onto the fifth level with a heavy heart. A total of 5,000 skeletons, all of them wearing long golden robes, were still sitting cross-legged neatly. Their faces were still peaceful and intoxicated. I'm afraid that the cultivation of these people had reached the half-saint realm when they were alive. Someone said slowly. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes were filled with horror. Not good. Rumble. As soon as his voice fell, the 5,000 skeletons were turned into ashes at the same time. A terrifying storm swept across the world, containing an extremely dark and evil power that far exceeded the previous 4 levels. Some low-level half-saints couldn't resist the power of such a terrifying storm at all. The Saint Tao boundary around them exploded, and even the half-saint treasures they took out were shattered. Then, they were drowned by the black ashes. Boom! The black flames burned fiercely, and thousands of fireballs appeared in front of everyone. Those people screamed in agony, and their eyes were filled with horror. However, the black flames were extremely evil, and there was no way to extinguish them. Soon, they were all turned into thousands of skeletons, which fell on the ground below, and turned into ashes once again. At the same time, their primordial spirits were annihilated, and their souls were completely destroyed. Not even their corpses were left. The scene in front of everyone shocked them, and their eyes were filled with horror. This was only the 5th level. If the storm on the previous levels was getting more and more terrifying, wouldn't it mean that everyone would die here, and no one would be spared? I don't want to continue. I want to leave this place. I want to leave this place. Some people couldn't take it anymore, and finally broke down. A few people even chose to commit suicide. They naively thought that as long as they committed suicide, their primordial spirits would be brought out of the Void Saint world by the Saint Badge and returned to the God world. However, the others realized that the few people who committed suicide were also swept up by the Ashes storm, and their primordial spirits and Saint Badges were annihilated at the same time. Continue forward. No matter who it is, I'll make him pay an unimaginable price for plotting against me. Huang Xuanzong roared in a low voice, and his eyes were filled with blazing killing intent. He had the 5 elements space-breaking shuttle to protect his body, and the Ashes storm had no effect on him at all. It couldn't even get close to him, but everything in front of him still made him furious. In the end, a small half of the people who survived chose not to enter the 6th level, while the majority chose to continue forward. Rumble. When everyone stepped onto the 6th level, they suddenly saw that the 5th level seemed to have been annihilated, and those who stayed on the 5th level were all dead. Everyone was trembling. It was a cold despair, and a rage that came from not being able to control their own life and death. Those who were able to reach this level, which one of them wasn't a genius? Which one of them didn't go through untold hardships and endless trials to reach this level? However, they were now like dogs, dying silently here, and they didn't even know who the enemy was. This feeling was extremely sullen, and it was also extremely hopeless. Jinns, follow me. Don't leave the range of the flipping sky seal. Ling Xiao said solemnly. Chapter 1842. Jean Say's body stiffened. She instinctively felt repulsed, and a trace of anger appeared in her eyes. She wanted to withdraw her hand, but she realized that Ling Xiao's hand was gripping her tightly, and she had no way to do so. Jean Say raised her head, wanting to say something, but her eyes met Ling Xiao's, and she couldn't help but feel shocked. Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with worry and concern, as well as love that was hidden deep in his eyes. Jin Sei's heart trembled involuntarily. She vaguely recalled that there was once someone who seemed to have the same look in his eyes. Unknowingly, Jin Sei seemed to be in a daze. She forgot to withdraw her hand and allowed Ling Zhao to pull her forward. The flipping sky seal bloomed with brilliant light, enveloping Ling Zhao and Jin Sei. Ling Zhao's white robes were whiter than snow, and Jin Sei's red robes fluttered. The two of them looked like a pair of immortal lovers. However, everyone's attention was focused on the 2,000 skeletons in front of them, and no one noticed them. The 2,000 skeletons in front of them were all wearing white robes, and their auras were much stronger than the skeletons on the 5th floor. It was still the same storm, but it was more terrifying and cold. It covered the sky and the sun, causing the world to become incomparably dark. This time, everyone was prepared, but many people still died in the storm. Everyone's mood was extremely gloomy and depressed, and they were burning with anger. Everyone moved forward silently, wanting to hold on until they found the mastermind behind the scenes. On the 7th floor, there were 500 skeletons in purple robes. According to everyone's guess, these 500 skeletons should have been high-level half-saints when they were alive. Everyone had already figured out the pattern of the storm. The stronger the skeleton's cultivation was when they were alive, the stronger the strange storm of ashes would be. The stronger the skeletons were when they were alive, the stronger the demonic Tao origin energy in their bodies, and, naturally, the stronger the storm. Could it be that the entire Sun-Moon alchemy sect was massacred by a demonic saint? Ling Zhao's heart trembled. In ancient times, the Sun-Moon alchemy sect was a powerful faction that was comparable to an immortal sacred land. Not only did the sect have a deep foundation, but it also had many Saint Wei experts. Yet it had been wiped out just like that. It was clear how powerful the enemy of the Sun-Moon alchemy sect was. However, the way the people from the Sun-Moon alchemy sect had died was a little too strange. Starting from the first level of the mortal opening, the odd job disciple, inner disciple, outer disciple, and true disciple were all neatly sitting there cross-legged. It was as if they had died without any pain. It was chilling. Rumble. A terrifying storm broke out. Black light soared, and the void in all directions trembled violently. This storm was comparable to that of a high-level semi-sage skeleton. It contained an incomparably terrifying destructive power. Many mid-level semi-sage experts couldn't withstand the power of this storm, let alone low-level semi-sage experts. They were ignited by the devil's original power in the ashes. They screamed and turned into ashes. Only those who possessed flawless saint treasures could barely protect themselves and the people around them. However, more than half of the thousands of experts were killed in an instant. Only less than 1,000 people were left. The entire 7th level was like a purgatory on earth. Black flames soared, and miserable screams were incessant. Even some high-level semi-sage experts were caught off guard and were contaminated by the ashes. Then, black flames rose from their bodies and they turned into ashes. Ling Zhao held Jin Sei's hand tightly. He looked at the purgatory on earth without joy or sorrow. His expression was calm. The person behind this should die, Jin Sei said slowly after a moment of silence. Her voice was extremely cold. Yes, he should die. No matter who he is, he must pay the price for all this. Ling Zhao said indifferently. The killing intent in his heart had reached its peak. The remaining thousands of people were panic-stricken. Their eyes were filled with despair. Either they had reached the high level of the half-saint, or they had the protection of perfect holy treasures to resist the terrible storm. However, the storm on the 7th level was already so terrifying. What about the remaining 2 levels? No one could be sure that they could survive to the 9th level. Even if they could survive to the 9th level and meet the person behind this, they would probably suffer a fate worse than death. Everyone, if you feel that you can't withstand the storm on the 8th level, you can come near me. I can protect you. Ling Zhao suddenly looked at the crowd and said slowly. He didn't have to do this because people's hearts were unpredictable. He didn't know if someone with ulterior motives would harm him and Jin Sei. Moreover, the person behind this would probably notice him. However, seeing the purgatory on earth in front of him and seeing so many experts of the human clan die like this, Ling Zhao's heart was filled with anger and pity at the same time. Temple Master Long is willing to protect us? Thank you, Temple Master Long. Thank you, Temple Master Long. Temple Master Long, you are really a good person. Temple Master Long, whoever dares to speak ill of you in the future will be my mortal enemy. Everyone was ecstatic. Their eyes were filled with incomparable surprise. Even those high-level half-saints weren't sure that they could withstand the storm on the 8th level. Ling Zhao's cyclic sky seal was a top-notch holy treasure. It would definitely be able to withstand the storm. Immediately, hundreds of people came to Ling Zhao's side. Their faces were filled with gratitude. Let's go! Ling Zhao grabbed Jin Sei's hand tightly. A divine light flashed in his eyes as he flew toward the 8th level. I didn't expect this kid to be so soft-hearted. Lin Shi glanced at Ling Zhao curiously and also flew over. On the 8th level, there were a total of 9 skeletons in white robes. They looked very old, but those skeletons exuded extremely powerful holy aura. It was terrifying and intimidating. Those 9 skeletons were actually left behind by 9 saint-level experts. Everyone was shocked. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Could these be the saint-level experts of the Sun-Moon Elixir sect? They had all died here? Boom! The storm broke out again, but this time, everyone was prepared. The flipping sky seal blocked the terrifying storm and protected everyone as they rushed out of the storm and entered the 9th level of the space. Everyone's eyes were filled with anticipation. Perhaps there would be an exit to the outside world on the 9th level. This was their motivation to persevere. Otherwise, many of them would have collapsed. Rumble. The 9th level was a mysterious and vast starry sky. After everyone appeared on the 9th level, they instantly saw a mysterious and vast figure in front of them. It was an old man with white hair and beard. His face was ruddy and benevolent. There was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. His entire body exuded a vast and majestic holy aura. It was as if all the stars in the sky were revolving around him. The moment everyone appeared, the old man with white hair and beard suddenly opened his eyes. Chapter 1843. In the vast starry sky, the big stars were dazzling, exuding a desolate and lonely aura as if there was no trace of life. An old man in linen robes sat cross-legged under the starry sky. His vast aura made everyone hold their breaths. Kacha! The old man in linen robes opened his eyes. 2 bright lights pierced through the sky like lightning, as if they could penetrate everyone's heart. You're finally here. The old man in linen robes said slowly. His voice was extremely old, with the vicissitudes of time and sadness. Who are you? Someone couldn't help but ask, his eyes filled with fear. Within the 9-story pagoda, the first 8 floors were deathly silent. They were filled with endless white bones, and there was also a strange bone ash storm. However, a person who was still alive had suddenly appeared on the 9th floor. This caused everyone to involuntarily feel a little nervous in their hearts. I'm the Origin Pill Saint. Aren't you here to obtain my inheritance? The old man in linen robes said lightly. His eyes were calm and deep. No one could see what was hidden under his eyes. Origin Pill Saint? This name is so unfamiliar. Everyone's eyes were filled with incomparable doubt. However, Lin Shi, Xiaoru, Tai Xinyuan and Huang Xuanzong couldn't help but tremble. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Origin Pill Saint? You're the peerless Pill Saint of the Sun-Moon Elixir sect in the ancient times? How is this possible? Lin Shi's face was slightly pale. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. It should be known that the primordial Chaos Elixir Saints era was the ancient era of saints, which was hundreds of millions of years ago. It was impossible for a saint to live past an era. Could it be that the primordial Chaos Elixir Saint had already become an emperor? Impossible. The Origin Pill Saint has already fallen. A saint can't live for so many years. You're not the Origin Pill Saint. Or you. Xiao Rui and Tai Xinyuan couldn't believe it. They stared at the old man in linen robes and asked, I'm indeed the origin pill saint. Others may not be able to live for so many years, but I can. I have an immortal body. The heavens can't destroy me, the earth can't take me. Even the great tribulation can't do anything to me. What's so strange about me being alive until now? The old man in the linen robe said with a faint smile, but there was a kind of arrogance in his eyes. Primordial chaos pill saint? Ling Xiao was also shocked. The blind old Taoist had told him that this was the secret realm of the primordial chaos pill saint, but he did not expect that the primordial chaos pill saint was still alive. There was no trace of life in his body at all. He was filled with the aura of death. Although the blood and qi around him were very strong, it was still difficult to conceal the trace of decaying aura of death. He should have died a long time ago, so why is he still alive? Ling Xiao's heart trembled. He had obtained the secret art of life and the secret art of death from Mount Musashi. He already had an incomparably deep understanding of the source of life and death. Perhaps others could sense that this linen-clothed old man's body was filled with boundless vitality. His vitality was very strong, as if he was in the prime of his life. However, Ling Xiao could sense that under the boundless vitality, there was an endless aura of death, a withered life, a body and primordial spirit that should have died a long time ago. In other words, this linen-clothed old man's lifespan was already exhausted. He should have turned into a pile of dust long ago. Immortal body? Hearing the linen-clothed old man's words, everyone couldn't help but be shocked. Since ancient times, who dared to claim that they had an immortal body in all the realms of the universe? Even a powerful great emperor would be buried in the passage of time in the end, unable to resist the passage of time. True immortality was something that even great emperors could not achieve. How could a mere primordial chaos pill saint achieve it? Senior, since you're still alive, why don't you leave this place? Huang Xuanzong asked cautiously. After all, what they had seen and heard on the first 8 levels made everyone feel a strong sense of conspiracy. Everyone was still very vigilant towards the old man in linen clothes in front of them. Regardless of whether he was the primordial chaos alchemy saint or not, everyone maintained sufficient vigilance. Although this old man is still alive and my cultivation is close to reaching the peak, only a step away from the supreme great emperor realm, this old man has an obsession that has yet to be completed. This obsession must be completed before I can come out of seclusion and reach the peak. Therefore, if you obtain this old man's inheritance, it is equivalent to helping this old man complete his obsession. This is your opportunity and fortune, and also the hope for this old man to come out of seclusion. The linen-clothed old man smiled faintly. His eyes were incomparably bright. Obsession? Then how can we help Senior complete his obsession? Lin, she asked cautiously. Little girl, your talent is not simple. You will be a pill saint in the future. It seems like you are the most promising person to obtain this old man's inheritance. Not bad, not bad. The linen-clothed old man looked at Lin Shi with a little surprise, then continued to say, Then let me tell you the requirements for obtaining this inheritance. There are so many memory stars around me. All of them are the crystallization of this old man's memories and various martial arts cultivation techniques. However, only one memory star is the true location of this old man's inheritance. Whoever obtains that memory star first will be able to obtain this old man's inheritance and become this old man's last disciple. Memory star. Everyone couldn't help but be stunned and carefully observe the surrounding stars. Buzz. Those stars were gorgeous, cold and lonely, no different from real stars. However, when everyone looked carefully, they discovered that those stars were emitting incomparably mysterious runes, as if some incomparably mysterious spiritual fluctuations were sealed within them. Memory star. This was actually the primordial chaos pill saint's memory star. However, there were so many memory stars around the linen-clothed old man. It was unknown how many there were, but there were at least tens of thousands of them. How difficult would it be to find the memory star that truly contained this old man's inheritance among so many memory stars? Senior, we saw countless skeletons on the first 8 levels. They were all wearing the Sun Moon Alchemy sect's Taoist robes. Do you know how they died? She glanced at the linen-clothed old man again and slowly asked. Everyone's hearts couldn't help but rise. This was also the question that everyone was most concerned about. The scene before them was too terrifying. Originally, there were tens of thousands of people, but 80 to 90% of them had died in the first 8 levels. They couldn't help but suspect the origin of those skeletons. Those are indeed the disciples and elders of my Sun-Moon alchemy sect. Chapter 1845. In ancient times, the devil race invaded the divine world. The entire divine world was plunged into misery and suffering. Countless living beings joined forces to fight against the devil race. My Sun-Moon alchemy sect was naturally the first to bear the brunt. That battle was extremely tragic. My Sun-Moon alchemy sect, from the sect master to the odd-job disciples, all died in battle. They were killed by the devil race. I was the only one who survived. I placed their corpses in the space of the first 8 floors of the pagoda and collected their true spirits. As long as I can prove my Tao and become an emperor, I can bring them back to life and let my Sun-Moon alchemy sect reappear in the divine world. The hemp-robed old man said slowly. There was a trace of excitement and fanaticism in his eyes. However, hundreds of millions of years have passed. The defensive array of the first 8 floors has been damaged. So, once you enter, you will destroy the balance and cause those corpses to turn into ashes. However, they died in the hands of an extremely powerful devil saint. Their bodies have the devil Tao origin energy. So, once their corpses turn into ashes, the devil Tao origin energy will gather and form a terrifying storm. Those storms are naturally a test for you. If you can't even withstand the storm formed by the devil Tao origin energy, how can you obtain my inheritance? So, those who can come to the 9th floor are those who have passed the test. As for whether you can obtain my inheritance, it will depend on your fortune and luck. The hemp-robed old man explained what had happened in the first 8 floors. Everyone finally understood, but they were still skeptical. Ling Xiao could also feel the sincerity of the hemp-robed old man's words. It didn't seem like he was lying. However, Ling Xiao felt that there was something wrong with the old man's words. As for what the problem was, he couldn't pinpoint it. Prove your Tao and become an emperor? Senior, you are really bold. I admire you greatly. We are willing to help you complete your obsession. It is our honor to be your last disciple. Huang Xuanzong said respectfully. You are not bad. The hemp-robed old man looked at Huang Xuanzong and smiled with satisfaction. Say, Senior, I know that my strength is low and I have no hope of obtaining your inheritance. Senior, can you let me out? Suddenly, someone asked. His voice was filled with apprehension. Among the crowd, some of them looked at the hemp-robed old man with anticipation. They were scared out of their wits by the scene in the first 8 floors. No matter what the hemp-robed old man said, they were unwilling to believe him. You want to leave? Could it be that you look down on my inheritance? The old man in the linen robe said with an indifferent smile. His voice was very calm. How would I dare? It's just that this junior knows that he's stupid, and no matter how hard he tries, it's useless. I don't want to waste Senior's time, so I want to leave this place. I hope Senior can help me. That person was a young man with the cultivation of 8th Revolution semi-sage realm. He was dressed in a white robe and looked extraordinarily handsome. However, he was incomparably respectful and nervous in front of the old man. Ling Xiao could sense that this young man was probably a genius expert from a great clan or holy ground. He wasn't any weaker than Xiao Rei and Ironheart Ape. Ling Xiao also wanted to see how the old man would deal with this. It seems that you don't want to help this old man complete his obsession. What a pity! The hemp-robed old man sighed. Junior doesn't dare. Senior, please grant my wish. The white-robed youth hurriedly denied. However, before he could finish his words, a black light suddenly shot out from the old man's palm. It instantly shot towards the white-robed youth. His entire body trembled, and his eyes were filled with incomparable horror. His entire body instantly turned into ashes. Everyone couldn't help but tremble. Their eyes were filled with incomparable horror. An 8th revolution semi-sage realm peerless genius died silently just like that? Everyone shuddered in their hearts. If you're not willing to help this old man complete his obsession, then there's no point in keeping you alive. Is there anyone else who wants to leave this place? The old man in the linen robe said indifferently, as if he didn't care at all about killing an ant. His gaze swept across the crowd calmly. Senior, you must be joking. How could we possibly want to leave this place? That's right. We'll definitely help Senior complete his obsession. To be able to obtain Senior's inheritance and become Senior's last disciple is a fortune and opportunity that we can't even dream of. Everyone shuddered. The horror in their eyes hadn't completely faded away. They hurriedly said with incomparable respect. At this moment, everyone's heart was incomparably cold. At this moment, they suddenly realized that this old man in the linen robe was not a kind person at all. If they didn't do as he said, they were afraid that everyone would die here. At this moment, no one dared to think about whether there was any conspiracy. They only thought that surviving was the most important thing. Even Lin Shi, Xiao Rui, Tai Xingyuan, and Huang Xuanzong's faces were slightly pale. So ruthless. Ling Xiao didn't show it on the surface, but he sneered in his heart. Whether this old man in the linen robe was a Hunyuan elixir saint or not, he wasn't a kind person. Moreover, Ling Xiao could see a trace of crazy obsession in his eyes. That's good. You guys can start moving. As long as you can obtain this old man's inheritance, each of you will have a fortune. Moreover, this old man will also send all of you away safely. The old man in the linen robe smiled slightly and returned to his benevolent appearance. Sir, everyone respectfully bowed to the old man in the linen robe, then turned around and slowly dispersed. Since there was no way to leave, they could only search for the inheritance, as the old man in the linen robe said. Some people with a good mentality were even a little excited. After all, this was the inheritance of a peerless elixir saint. If they could really obtain it, the position of elixir saint in the future would be expected. After all, this old man in the linen robe was terrifyingly powerful. If he really wanted to kill, he could probably kill everyone in the blink of an eye. Perhaps he really wanted to choose a successor. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Everyone flew in groups of 3 to 5 towards the memory stars they had chosen. At this moment, Lin Shi flew towards Ling Xiao and Jin Sei with an old servant. Palace Master Long, Saintess Jin Sei, may I have the honor of forming a team with you? Lin Shi smiled slightly. Her face was beautiful, her skin was like jade, and she looked very charming. Her figure was graceful, her curves were exquisite, and her waist was like a water snake's waist, exuding a myriad of emotions. Ling Xiao glanced at Jin Sei. Seeing that Jin Sei didn't object, he nodded and said with a smile, "Sure. It's our honor to have such a beauty like Fairy Lin Shi join us." Palace Master Long's mouth is really sweet. I wonder how Palace Master Long thinks we should search for the memory stars? Chapter 1846. Ling Xiao, Jin Sei, and Lin Shi stood under the starry sky. The stars before them were dazzling, like a dazzling river of stars. It was extremely beautiful. If it weren't for the presence of the old man in sackcloth, who made everyone feel the danger and urgency of the 5 elements, the beautiful scenery before them would have been enough to make them feel relaxed and happy. To be honest, I have no idea how to find the memory stars. Perhaps we'll only know after we try. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. In the starry sky before them, all the memory stars before them looked extremely similar. They were sparkling and resplendent, containing mysterious spiritual ripples. They contained the boundless inheritance of the Origin Pill Saint. Although Ling Xiao didn't know the old man's intentions and why he wanted so many people to search for his inheritance, Ling Xiao didn't believe that the old man really wanted to choose a successor. There had to be some scheme behind this, but Ling Xiao hadn't discovered it yet. Swish! Ling Xiao and the other 2 turned into streaks of light and shot into the depths of the starry sky. They didn't join the others. Instead, they chose a remote corner in the depths of the starry sky. There were 3 connected stars there. They looked dazzling and weren't far from each other. They wanted to try and see what was in these memory stars. I'll refine this star. Lin Shi chose one of the stars and smiled at Ling Xiao and Jin Se. She immediately flew towards the star. Ling Xiao and Lin Shi each chose a star and began to refine it. What a strange star. It's completely made of spiritual energy? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He looked at the star in front of him and felt somewhat surprised. This was because he could sense that this star wasn't a real star, but a manifestation of spiritual energy. It looked like a real star. Ling Xiao's soul could sense that the memory star before him had an extremely powerful memory ripple sealed within it. I'd like to see what's in this memory star. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Then, his soul shone with resplendent light. It erupted in an instant and enveloped the memory star before him. Rumble! The power of Ling Xiao's primordial spirit was incomparably strong. Although his cultivation was only at the second revolution, his primordial spirit wasn't any weaker than a ninth revolution half-saint. Although the memory star contained a powerful sealing force, Ling Xiao's primordial spirit easily penetrated it and saw a bizarre and variegated scene. The blue sea was clear, and the clouds were faintly discernible. There was an immortal mountain floating above the sea. There were pavilions and towers on top of it. There were immortal cranes and spirit apes. It looked like a paradise. There were powerful figures flying around. It seemed like this was a sect with a deep foundation. Master, I still can't master the 3 mountains mirroring the moon quenching technique. Why don't you demonstrate it to me again? In a palace on the immortal mountain, a handsome young man was hugging the arm of a long-browed old Taoist. His eyes were filled with anticipation. Primordial chaos, you little bastard. You didn't pay attention when I was teaching. Now you remember? The long-browed Taoist scolded with a smile, but his eyes were full of affection when he looked at the young man. Is this young man the primordial chaos pill saint when he was young? In that case, this immortal mountain is the sun-moon elixir sect? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he thought to himself. His primordial spirit entered the memory star. It was like entering a world as a bystander and seeing the scene in the memory. Master, I'm begging you. If you don't teach me and I lose in the competition, won't I embarrass you? Primordial chaos begged with a pitiful look in his eyes. All right. I really don't know what to do with you. Watch carefully. I'll only demonstrate it once. If you can't learn it, don't blame me. The long-browed Taoist was pestered by primordial chaos and could only agree with a bitter smile. The 3 mountains mirror the moon quenching technique. The so-called 3 mountains are heaven, earth, and man. They gather in the primordial spirit and reflect in the way of the heavens. The 3 mountains mirror the moon quenching technique is to use the power of the 3 mountains to merge the primordial spirit with the way of the heavens. Only then can one understand the true meaning of quenching and refine supreme divine elixirs. As the long-browed Taoist spoke, he began to demonstrate the 3 mountains mirror the moon quenching technique. Buzz. The void trembled. Flames spread out from the palm of the long-browed Taoist, exuding a vast and mysterious aura. It was as if the spirit of fire had blended into the void. A formless chi was condensed from the world and the long-browed Taoist's body, making the flames in his palm seem to have become more and more spiritual. Ling Xiao could see that the long-browed Taoist's quenching technique was very smooth and extraordinary. It seemed to be in harmony with the way of the heavens and earth. It had a different rhythm and beauty. The 3 mountains mirror the moon quenching technique? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. The long-browed old Taoist had imparted the primordial 3 mountains moon reflection quenching technique to Ling Xiao. It was as if Ling Xiao had been taught by example, allowing him to gain an extremely deep understanding of it. He finally realized that the 3 mountains mirror the moon quenching technique actually involved the origin of the way of the heavens. It was a technique for refining supreme divine elixirs and was incomparably precious. It turned out that the memory star contained the scene of the primordial chaos pill saint learning the 3 mountains mirror the moon quenching technique. After a long while, Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes. There was a hint of understanding in his eyes. The star in front of him was still resplendent, but Ling Xiao had already obtained the 3 mountains mirror the moon quenching technique, so this memory star became slightly dimmer. At the same time, Lin Shi and Jin Se also woke up. Fairy Lin Shi, Jin Se, what memories did you obtain? Ling Xiao recounted the memories of the 3 mountains mirror the moon quenching technique he obtained, then looked at Lin Shi and Jin Se curiously. I obtained the Phoenix Cry Empyrean Pill Condensation Technique. This Phoenix Cry Empyrean Pill Condensation Technique uses the Divine Beast Phoenix's sound waves as a foundation. It resonates with the way of the heavens and forms an extremely mysterious power, Lin Shi said slowly. She told him all the techniques she had obtained from the memory star without holding anything back. I obtained the Yin-Yang Cauldron Refining Technique. Jin Se said indifferently, her voice still incomparably cold. The 3 mountains mirror the moon quenching technique, the Phoenix Cry Empyrean Pill Condensation Technique, and the Yin-Yang Cauldron Refining Technique. These are all supreme techniques that have long been lost in the ancient times. How did we obtain them so easily? This is unbelievable. Chapter 1847. Lin Shi was a genius of the Pill Seal Mountain, so she had a certain understanding of these 3 great techniques. They were all techniques that had been lost since ancient times, and now, she had actually found them in the Hunyuan Dan Saint's memory star, which made her extremely excited. They had absorbed the memories of the memory star and were like incarnations of origin. They had personally learned these techniques and naturally had an extremely deep impression of them. Although the primordial chaos alchemy saint was an alchemy saint of his generation, rumor has it that his martial arts talent was also extremely strong. He once created a supreme holy technique that shocked the ancient times. I'm afraid these memories are an irresistible temptation for everyone. Ling Xiao said slowly, a thoughtful look in his eyes. Boom. At this moment, a great battle suddenly broke out in the distant starry sky. Dazzling divine light bloomed. The genius experts who were originally united against a common enemy began to fight over a memory star that they had taken a fancy to. Their eyes were filled with incomparable excitement, but their eyes were filled with murderous intent. It was as if in an instant, they had become united against a common enemy and began to fight over a memory star. They were all beneficiaries and had obtained great benefits from the memory star. They were so excited that they forgot everything and began to join in the fight for the memory star. From the memory star, they had not only obtained powerful alchemy knowledge and secret alchemy techniques, but more importantly, they had also obtained the divine skills and supreme secret techniques that Pill Saint Hunyuan had left behind. These saint techniques that pointed directly to the origin of the great Tao naturally made everyone scramble for them. They did not hesitate to fight over them. This is the memory star that I have taken a fancy to. Why should I give it to you? Because my fist is bigger than yours and my strength is stronger than yours. If you want to die, go ahead and try. You are simply robbers. This memory star is mine. None of you can touch it. Boy, I think you are tired of living. Everyone stop fighting. We should be united against a common enemy. How can we kill each other here? Do you all want to die here? Under the starry sky, the sound of quarreling rang out, accompanied by a fierce battle. When everyone saw the things in the memory stars, it was as if they had gone mad. Their eyes turned red and they all wanted to take the secret techniques in the memory stars for themselves. They really don't know what's good for them. Whether or not they'll be able to escape from the 9th floor of the pagoda is another matter, yet they've actually started fighting amongst themselves now. What a motley crew! Lin Shi looked at the crowd in the distance, shook her head and sneered. Don't worry about them, but I have an idea. A wisp of wisdom flashed through Ling Zhao's eyes as he slowly said, since those memory stars are the memories of the Origin Essence Pill Saint, then perhaps we can discover the Origin Essence Pill Saint's goal and even his weakness from those memories. This is our only chance. Otherwise, once his inheritance is obtained by someone else, I'm afraid we'll really be powerless. You're right. Let's refine those memory stars as soon as possible and see if we can find some useful clues. Jin Se also nodded calmly. Next, Lin Shi and Jin Se continued to refine the memory stars in the starry sky. However, The appearance of those memory stars was extremely similar and there was no pattern to follow. Wanting to find useful clues was tantamount to looking for a needle in a haystack. Ling Xiao did not choose to refine the memory stars one by one. Instead, he turned into a stream of light and wandered through the starry sky. These memory stars, or rather, the memory fragments of the origin essence Pill Saint would be more appropriate. However, why would they appear in the 9th floor of the pagoda? Why would the origin essence Pill Saint extract these memories? What secret is there that I don't know? Ling Xiao thought to himself as he strolled through the air. Simply refining the memory stars would be a waste of time. Ling Xiao chose to carefully observe the differences in those memory stars in an attempt to find a pattern. Ling Xiao always felt that the way to break out of this situation was in these memory stars. There were too many things in this pagoda that Ling Xiao could not understand. Even the content that the origin essence Pill Saint had explained before was very far-fetched in Ling Xiao's opinion. He tried to find the truth behind the layers of fog. Suddenly, Ling Xiao felt the wordless heavenly book tremble slightly. His footsteps came to a halt. This is only a dark starry sky. There's nothing here. Why would the wordless heavenly book react? Ling Xiao thought to himself as his brows furrowed slightly. He was currently at the edge of the resplendent starry sky. The stars here seemed very sparse, and there was a large expanse of darkness between each star. Ling Xiao was now in between the two stars. He tried again. When he stood in front of the two stars, the wordless heavenly book didn't react at all. Only when he stood in the dark space between the two stars did the wordless heavenly book react. Moreover, the reaction was incomparably strong. Is there something strange about this place? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. Instantly, his soul spread out silently towards the dark space. At the same time, he even used his mind realm to envelop him and the space within a few meters of him. Ling Xiao's heart suddenly trembled. He could not see anything in the dark space with his naked eyes. However, in his mind realm, a black star appeared in front of him. The black star exuded an extremely powerful and dark sealing power. It looked extremely evil. It was actually the power of the demonic Tao origin. This memory star is different from the others. It looks like it was deliberately sealed by someone. Is there some unspeakable secret hidden in it? Ling Xiao thought curiously. Ling Xiao's mind realm enveloped this area. From the outside, no one could see what Ling Xiao was doing. This was also the reason why he released his mind realm. Otherwise, his little tricks would have been discovered by the old man in linen robes. Ling Xiao still felt a little insecure. At the same time, he silently used the heaven-shrouding secret technique. I'd like to see why you sealed this memory star. Ling Xiao sneered in his heart. He suspected that this memory star was most likely sealed by the primordial chaos Pill Saint himself. Buzz. Ling Xiao's palm was enshrouded in light. He slowly patted the void and at the same time he patted the dark star. Suddenly, a majestic devouring power erupted from Ling Xiao's palm. The powerful seal on the black star began to loosen under the effect of the heaven-shrouding secret technique. There's hope. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. He immediately continued to use the heaven-shrouding secret technique to devour the powerful seal on the black star. Moreover, Ling Xiao was devouring the seal on the star in his mind realm. In addition, he had used the heaven-shrouding secret technique. No one discovered what he was doing at all. Finally, a crisp sound was heard. The seal on the black star was completely opened. I'd like to see what kind of unspeakable secret you're hiding. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly. His majestic primordial spirit power instantly surged into the black memory star. Chapter 1848. Heaven and earth were shattered and stars were falling. The void was filled with a layer of bloody light, which looked extremely demonic. Everywhere was filled with a strong smell of blood. Broken limbs and corpses of various races could be seen everywhere. It was like purgatory in the human world, filled with killing intent. In this bloody world, a celestial mountain floated above the void. It was surrounded by a layer of powerful enchantment. Black light filled the air, as if countless demons were hiding and attacking the enchantment crazily. On the celestial mountain, countless disciples of the human clan were filled with fear and despair. The enchantment was on the verge of collapse. They knew the consequences of the enchantment breaking. The entire Sun-Moon Elixir sect would be turned into a land of death. No one would survive. On the peak of the celestial mountain, a long-browed Taoist with white hair and a beard was sitting cross-legged. A handsome young man was kneeling in front of him. However, the long-browed Taoist did not seem to be in a good state. The corners of his mouth were full of blood. His face was pale and his eyes were filled with disappointment. He was on the verge of death. This is the hidden memory of the Hunyuan Elixir Saint? Ling Xiao was shocked. He was like a passerby in this world. He could tell at a glance that the young man kneeling in front of the long-browed Taoist was the Hunyuan Elixir Saint. The Hunyuan Elixir Saint's aura was extremely powerful. His cultivation had reached the sage realm. The long-browed Taoist in front of him was even more unfathomable. Although he was severely injured, a trace of fluctuation from his body was enough to shatter the void. Ling Xiao was shocked. He vaguely felt that he had touched the deepest secret of the Hunyuan Elixir Saint's heart. This black memory star hadn't been erased. It had just been sealed in the deepest part of his consciousness. If it hadn't been for the wordless heavenly book, Ling Xiao wouldn't have been able to discover it. However, the scene in this memory star made Ling Xiao's expression turn extremely serious. Master, is the realm of the gods really finished? Is there no hope for the human clan? I can't accept this, I can't accept this. The Hunyuan Elixir Saint knelt in front of the long-browed Taoist. His eyes were bloodshot and filled with killing intent and unwillingness. Fu, you're really a fool. This time, the demon emperor had made his move. The 9 great imperial emperors and 72 saint kings had invaded the divine realm at the same time. The Empress of Life had already died, and the human race no longer had any hope. After this battle, my Sun-Moon Alchemy sect will disappear forever in the river of time, but you still have hope. Listen to me, quickly leave the divine realm and preserve your strength. You have the potential to become a martial monarch, so don't let your emotions affect your decisions. Long-eyebrow Taoist said slowly. He looked at Hunyuan Alchemy Saint with a kind gaze. Master, I can't accept this. That old thief Tsongqing defected to the demon race. If it weren't for his sneak attack, how could you have been seriously injured? I must kill this traitor who betrays his master and destroys his ancestors. Primordial Chaos Alchemy Saint roared furiously. His voice was filled with bone-deep hatred. Saint King Tsongqing was one of the 72 Saint Kings under the Demon Emperor. He was also a demon clan spy who had been lurking in the Sun-Moon Alchemy sect for a long time. He was the junior brother of the Sun-Moon Alchemy sect's sect master, long-browed Taoist, and one of the 2 great Saint Kings of the Sun-Moon Alchemy sect. It was precisely because of Saint King Tsongqing's counterattack that the long-browed Taoist was severely injured and many Saint Path experts had died. That was why the Sun-Moon Elixir sect had fallen into such a desperate situation. Rumble. At that moment, the boundary outside the immortal mountain trembled even more. A young man in a dark green Taoist robe stepped into the void and stood in the middle of countless demon gods. He wore a jade crown on his head and was extraordinarily handsome. However, his face was indifferent, and his eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. He was Saint King Tsongqing. Senior brother Long Eyebrow, surrender. As long as you surrender, be loyal to the Demon Emperor, and refine elixirs for him in the future, the Demon Emperor said that he can protect the Sun-Moon Elixir sect. I know that senior brother has a strong temperament, but do you really want the Sun-Moon Elixir sect's legacy to end and billions of disciples to die here? Saint King Tsongqing said indifferently. His voice reverberated through the void like the divine voice of the great Tao, exuding an ethereal and mysterious nomological fluctuation. Tsongqing, I was wrong about you. Long Eyebrow Taoist's eyes flashed sharply. He stared at Long Eyebrow Taoist and sneered. You have followed me since you were young. I took you in as a disciple on behalf of my master and imparted you with divine powers and Tao techniques. I hoped that you would bring glory to the sect, but I didn't expect to raise an ingrate. I only hate that I didn't see your true colors earlier. Cut the crap. If you want to kill me, then kill me. As a human, we will never subdue demons. Sun Moon Elixir Sect, why would we shrink from a fight? Long Eyebrow Taoist's voice reverberated like endless heavenly thunder. It was grand and majestic, reaching the ears of every disciple and elder of the Sun Moon Elixir Sect. Everyone's blood was boiling. Their eyes were filled with incomparable madness as they roared in a low voice. Sun Moon Elixir Sect, why would we shrink from a fight? Sun Moon Elixir Sect, why would we shrink from a fight? Sun Moon Elixir Sect, why would we shrink from a fight? Everyone's voices reverberated through the sky. Everyone had the intention to fight to the death. What a pity! Senior brother, although you have treated me well, we are on different sides. Since you are unwilling to surrender, I can only kill you. Sun Moon Elixir Sect will be removed from the name from today onwards. Saint King Tsangqing said indifferently with a trace of pity in his eyes. Rumble. A green ancient sword appeared in his hand. When he lifted it up, it was as if countless rays of divine light converged together. Primordial mist permeated the air as countless gods and devils roared within the sword light. In the end, they converged into a monstrous sword light that slashed down from the sky. The sword was too dazzling and dazzling. It illuminated everyone's eyes as if it had enveloped the entire immortal mountain. A crisp sound rang out. In an instant, the incomparably powerful boundary exploded. All the disciples of the Sun Moon Elixir Sect inside the boundary could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. They had activated the boundary with their life force. When the boundary was broken, many of them suffered a powerful backlash. Idiot, you can't leave even if you want to now. Long Eyebrow Taoist glanced at Hunyuan Alchemy Saint and could not help but sigh. His eyes were filled with bitterness and sorrow as he closed them slightly. He could not bear to see the scene of the disciples of the Sun Moon Elixir Sect being slaughtered, but he was powerless to stop it. However, what Long Eyebrow Taoist did not see was that Hunyuan Alchemy Saint's eyes were bloodshot. His entire body was instantly enveloped in an extremely dense blood light that slowly spread out like a sea of blood. Master, I will never let the Sun Moon Elixir Sect be destroyed. Never. Chapter 1849. Primordial Chaos. Do? Long Eyebrow Taoist opened his eyes. Seeing Primordial Chaos Alchemy Saint in front of him, he could not help but tremble. His eyes were full of shock. Master, since you're about to die, why don't you lend me your blood essence and help me kill the devil race? A cold and emotionless voice sounded, containing a bone-chilling wave. Although it was Primordial Chaos Alchemy Saint's words, it was not his voice at all. Primordial Chaos Alchemy Saint stood up, and the terrifying aura around him skyrocketed. Behind him, a blood-red light rose, as if opening up a mysterious world of blood in the endless void. At this moment, there was no trace of clarity in his eyes. They became scarlet and bloodthirsty. He took a step forward and slapped the top of Long Eyebrow Taoist's head. Boom! The vast essence blood in Long Eyebrow Taoist's body suddenly rushed into Primordial Chaos Alchemy Saint's body, causing the world of blood behind him to grow larger and more real. His aura also skyrocketed in an instant. This is the eternal world of blood. Idiot, you're really an idiot. Why do you have to do this? Since that's the case, let Master lend you a final helping hand. Long Eyebrow Taoist's eyes were full of sorrow, but he did not resist at all. In the end, there was a trace of kindness in his eyes. Then his body emitted an extremely terrifying aura wave. The essence blood in his body and the last remaining life origin in his body instantly rushed into Primordial Chaos Alchemy Saint's body like a huge river. Like a flying butterfly flying into a flame, Long Eyebrow Taoist's life origin bloomed brightly like a meteor. Boom! In an instant, the entire sky above the immortal mountain was illuminated by the mysterious light of life. No one could describe the long-browed Taoist at this moment. It was as if he had merged with the way of heaven and become an omnipotent master. Although he knew that his soul might scatter and his real spirit might be annihilated, he still had no regrets. The vast light illuminated primordial chaos alchemy saint's ferocious face, making him look even more evil at this moment. This is the eternal world of blood. Impossible. How can you know the eternal world of blood's technique? You're my senior brother's most valued disciple. He can't possibly pass the eternal world of blood to you. Saint King Tsongqing's indifferent expression suddenly changed, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. However, what shocked him was yet to come. After devouring the long-browed Taoist's blood essence, the Hunyuan alchemy saint's aura was extremely terrifying. It was as if he had broken through some kind of limit. He was not much weaker than Saint King Tsongqing. All of you will become this emperor's food. The origin alchemy saint licked his lips. His eyes were scarlet and bloodthirsty. He did not show any emotion at all. He radiated with a vast smell of blood, as if he was the origin of the way of blood. He was extremely terrifying. Rumble. The majestic blood world spread out. The immortal mountain that was originally filled with auspicious vapors was now shrouded by a boundless bloody light, turning into an evil and bloody mountain. All the disciples of the Sun-Moon Alchemy sect fused into the bloody light at this moment. Their essence, blood and life source were sucked dry, completely disappearing into the sea of blood. The Sun-Moon Elixir sect disciples were stunned. They never thought that they would not die at the hands of the Devil Clan, but actually die at the hands of the Primordial Chaos Pill Saint, and in such an evil and strange way. Origin Alchemy, you betrayed your master and ancestors. You'll die a horrible death. Origin Alchemy Saint, you don't deserve to be a disciple of the Sun-Moon Alchemy sect. What's the difference between you and Tsongqing? You're the biggest sinner of the Sun-Moon Alchemy sect. I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Origin Alchemy Sect, you destroyed the Sun-Moon Alchemy Sect. Sect Master Chung, open your eyes and take a look. This is the peerless genius of the Sun-Moon Alchemy Sect. This is the Origin Alchemy Saint. Haha, all the disciples and elders of the Sun-Moon Alchemy Sect went crazy. They cursed and roared incessantly. They were in complete despair. The Origin Alchemy Saint's terrifying figure was reflected in the boundless bloody light. It was as if a giant demon of the way of blood had been born. Not only the people of the Sun-Moon Alchemy sect, but many experts of the Devil Clan were also terrified. Origin Alchemy Saint, go to hell. Saint King Tsongqing sensed the surging aura of the Origin Alchemy Saint. His eyes unconsciously revealed a trace of fear. He roared angrily and pounced on the Origin Alchemy Saint. The eternal world of blood was too terrifying. Everything happened in an instant. The Origin Alchemy Saint, whom Saint King Tsongqing did not take seriously, actually made him feel fear. He wanted to kill the Origin Alchemy Saint at all costs because he knew that if he could not kill the Origin Alchemy Saint, he would die. Rumble. The ancient green sword bloomed with boundless sacred light. Vast great path nomological laws gathered and wrapped around the ancient sword like divine chains of order. Finally, it turned into an eternal sword light that pierced through the heavens and earth. It slashed down on the Origin Alchemy Saint. Saint King Tsongqing felt that this was the strongest moment of his life. This sword was enough to severely injure or even kill a Saint King. You're too weak. The Hunyuan Alchemy Saint said indifferently. His voice was hoarse. The sea of blood that filled the sky rushed into the sky at this moment and gathered in his palm. It was like a blood-red sun that rose up with a loud bang and collided with the green sword light. Rumble. The eternal sword light, which seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth and shatter the heavens, shattered with a loud bang. It was silently submerged in the endless blood light. What? Saint King Tsongqing's eyes were filled with disbelief. His entire body was trembling. He said that you're going to die. All of you are going to die. The Hunyuan Pill Saint said calmly. His voice sounded extremely strange and evil. The vast blood world suddenly exploded at this moment. It was vast and mighty, as if it had enveloped the entire divine world. The Demon Clan experts who followed Saint King Tsongqing whether they were weak demon god kings, powerful demon saints, or supreme saints, were all covered by the eternal world of blood. They could not resist at all and were instantly turned into a part of the blood realm. Only Saint King Tsongqing was still struggling. However, as the Origin Alchemy Saint's aura skyrocketed, Saint King Tsongqing's eyes were filled with despair. Origin Alchemy Saint, you dared to cultivate the eternal world of blood. You sold your life, your primordial spirit, your true spirit, and everything else to him. You'll die a horrible death. You'll die a horrible death, Saint King Tsongqing roared angrily. However, the blood light that filled the sky surged and swallowed him in an instant. A peerless Saint King fell just like that. In front of Ling Xiao seemed to be a world of blood, filled with despair, evil, darkness, and various other negative presences. However, there seemed to be a pair of mysterious eyes that could see through the bloody light and through the endless space and time, seeing him. Chapter 1850. This eternal world of blood is too strange. Ling Xiao's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. When he woke up from the memory fragments, there was still a lingering fear in his heart. The Origin Essence Alchemy Saint's cultivation should be in the Saint Realm, or at most in the Great Saint Realm. However, after he used the eternal world of blood, he instantly possessed supreme power comparable to a Saint King's. He even easily killed Saint King Tsongqing. Even though the Origin Alchemy Saint had devoured the Long Eyebrow Taoist's blood essence and remaining life origin, the eternal world of blood was too strange and terrifying. Buzz. A blood-red rune appeared in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, exuding an extremely strange fluctuation, and was about to merge into Ling Xiao's primordial spirit. Ling Xiao had been looking through the memories in the memory star, and at the same time unconsciously refining the Origin Alchemy Saint's memory fragment. He had not expected to condense a rune of the eternal world of blood. Ling Xiao could feel that this blood-red rune was extremely strange, and it was actually the cultivation method of the eternal world of blood. He instinctively felt that this blood-red rune was not simple, and he must not let it merge into his primordial spirit. The wordless heavenly book suddenly bloomed with an extremely bright light, and in an instant, it swallowed the blood-red rune. Boom! Although the blood-red rune was swallowed by the wordless heavenly book, it suddenly bloomed with an infinite amount of light. The blood-red light spread out, as if it was about to rush out of Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, forming a vast blood realm and devouring everything. The wordless heavenly book shone brightly, and an ancient and mysterious fluctuation bloomed. The vast divine sound of the great Tao filled the air, and a series of divine chains of order emerged, entangling the blood-red rune, and began to slowly refine it. Ling Xiao had never seen the wordless heavenly book so nervous before. It was as if the blood-red rune was extremely terrifying, and the wordless heavenly book had to deal with it with all its might. However, in the end, the blood-red rune was still suppressed by the wordless heavenly book. Yes, it was suppressed, because the wordless heavenly book could not completely refine this blood-red rune. What secrets does the eternal world of blood contain? Ling Xiao's heart trembled and his face turned ugly. Although the wordless heavenly book had suppressed the blood-red rune, it seemed like the rune was a ticking time bomb. If it managed to escape the suppression of the wordless heavenly book, it would be a big joke. Ling Xiao did not want to become like the primordial chaos pill saint. Although he possessed extremely powerful strength, it was as if his consciousness had sunk into hell forever. His entire being no longer had a trace of clarity, and he was like a walking corpse that only knew how to kill. That kind of state, just thinking about it, made people shudder. No wonder the Hunyuan pill sage sealed this memory. It turns out that Long Eyebrow Taoist and the entire Sun Moon pill sect didn't die in the hands of the devil race, but in his own hands. Ling Xiao sighed in his heart. Although he did not know what had happened after Primordial Chaos Alchemy Saint had killed Saint Tsongqing, it was obvious that Primordial Chaos Alchemy Saint could not accept it. Even if he had done it for revenge, he could not accept that he was the executioner who had destroyed the entire Sun Moon Alchemy sect. This is already something from ancient times. I didn't expect the enmity between the human race and the devil race to have been entangled for countless eras. They are really old enemies. However, how did the primordial chaos pill saint live until now? Ling Xiao began to think. He recalled the scene when he first saw the primordial chaos pill saint. Although the primordial chaos pill saint's qi and blood were monstrous, and he seemed to have a strong vitality, in fact, his life source had already dried up. His entire body was filled with the aura of death, just like a corpse that had been dug out from an ancient tomb. Or, the primordial chaos pill saint has already died? In this way, many things can be explained clearly. However, what kind of existence is he, and where is this 9-story pagoda? Ling Xiao's thoughts flickered. He vaguely felt that he seemed to have grasped some key point. He was about to peel away the layers of fog and see the truth hidden behind the fog. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He did not choose to stay here for long. Instead, he went to a memory star next to him. As he looked at the memory fragments, he secretly pondered and investigated. Buzz. A strange wave of energy spread out from Ling Xiao's body, silently spreading to the surroundings. At the same time, Ling Xiao also saw the memory fragments in the memory star. Primordial chaos. This is the Sun-Moon Elixir sect's treasure, the Sun-Moon Elixir scripture. I hope you can work hard to cultivate and become a peerless elixir saint, bringing the Sun-Moon Elixir sect to greater heights. In an ancient palace, Long Eyebrows Taoist handed an ancient scripture to the primordial chaos pill saint. Sun-Moon Elixir scripture? Ling Xiao's body trembled, and a strange look appeared in his eyes. Could it be so coincidental? In the memory star that he had randomly chosen, it was the scene of Long Eyebrows Taoist passing the Sun-Moon Elixir scripture to the primordial chaos pill saint. Although the primordial chaos pill saint did not say what his inheritance was, among the billions of memory stars, Ling Xiao thought that it was most likely the supreme inheritance of the Sun-Moon Elixir sect. The Sun-Moon Elixir scripture was probably the supreme inheritance of the Sun-Moon Elixir sect. So, this starry sky is actually, Ling Xiao's heart trembled. At the same time, he finally discovered the secret of this starry sky. Rumble. At this moment, the starry sky trembled, and billions of stars bloomed with bright light at the same time. An ancient and vicissitude voice sounded in the void, with endless emotions and joy. My inheritance already has an owner. It was the voice of the primordial chaos pill saint. A stream of light traversed the starry sky, and the old man in linen clothes appeared in front of Ling Xiao instantly. He looked at him with a hint of satisfaction. What? The primordial chaos pill saint's inheritance has already been obtained? Damn it, why isn't it me? Who's so lucky? Everyone was extremely shocked and began to discuss. Each of them had different expressions. Some were jealous, some were shocked, and some were curious. However, they were soon swept up by a mysterious force, gathered from all directions in the starry sky, and appeared in front of the primordial chaos pill saint. When they saw Ling Xiao, they were momentarily stunned. It's him? The War Hall Master of the War Hall, Long Outyen? No one expected that the person who obtained the primordial chaos pill saint's inheritance would be Ling Xiao. This guy's luck is too good, isn't it? Lin Shi's eyes widened as she looked at Ling Xiao in disbelief and muttered softly. Chapter 1851. Long Outyen, how did he get the Hunyuan alchemy saint's inheritance? Xiao Rui and Tai Xinyuan's faces were ugly. They looked at Ling Xiao with jealousy and unwillingness. They were very clear about the glory of the Sun-Moon Elixir sect in ancient times and the strength of the Hunyuan Elixir saint. They originally thought that with their talent, they might be able to obtain the inheritance of the Hunyuan Elixir saint. What's your name? The Hunyuan alchemy saint looked at Ling Xiao and asked. I'm Long Outyen, a disciple of the War God Hall. Greetings, Lord Hunyuan alchemy saint. Ling Xiao smiled and bowed to the Hunyuan alchemy saint. You already have a sect? But it doesn't matter. Since you've got my inheritance, you'll be my disciple and the sect master of the Sun-Moon alchemy sect. As for the War God Hall, you'd better leave. Kneel and acknowledge me as your master. The Hunyuan alchemy saint frowned slightly but said indifferently, Lord Hunyuan alchemy saint, I already have a sect. Although I've got your inheritance, I don't want to betray my sect. Please grant me my wish. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently, but his voice was firm. So, you're not willing to be my disciple and the sect master of the Sun Moon Alchemy sect? The Hunyuan alchemy saint's eyes flashed and his voice turned cold. Long Outyan, you must be out of your mind. Why aren't you kneeling and greeting your master? Lin Shi looked at Ling Xiao with some disappointment as she hurriedly shouted. Everyone could feel the chilling intent emanating from the Origin Chaos Alchemy Saint. Xiao Rei and Ironheart Ape sneered coldly. They were overjoyed that Ling Xiao was so ignorant of the situation. They wanted the Origin Chaos Alchemy Saint to kill Ling Xiao with one palm and take them as his disciples. Long Outyan, you're really infuriating. This Hunyuan Alchemy Saint seems to be out of his mind. Can't you agree with him first? It won't do you any good to anger him. Lin Shi grumbled angrily to Ling Xiao through voice transmission. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Ling Xiao said to Lin Shi through voice transmission as if he didn't care. Lord Primordial Chaos Pill Saint was unruly this time. He didn't know how to respect his seniors at all. He was just lucky. He doesn't deserve to be your disciple. Xiao Rei cupped his hands and bowed to Hunyuan Pill Saint. That's right, I can testify as well. Lord Primordial Chaos Pill Saint, this child has no talent in alchemy. I'm afraid he can't inherit your alchemy legacy at all. Ironheart Yuan's eyes flashed as he stood out and said. The atmosphere instantly became a little strange. No one expected Ling Xiao to reject the Hunyuan Pill Saint. What was even more unexpected was that Xiao Rei and Ironheart Ape would jump out. These two fellows seemed to be the ones who wanted to obtain the Hunyuan Pill Saint's inheritance the most. A bunch of ignorant fools, blinded by profit. Could it be that you guys really think that he's a Chaos Essence Alchemy Saint? Ling Xiao sneered, his eyes full of disdain. Not Hunyuan Alchemy Saint. Everyone couldn't help but tremble, stunned by Ling Xiao's words. Hunyuan Alchemy Saint is a figure from the ancient times. Even the great emperors of the ancient times can't live until now. Do you really think that a mere saint has such a long lifespan? Ling Xiao said indifferently. Finally, he looked straight at Hunyuan Alchemy Saint, his eyes deep and calm. Not bad, not bad. I haven't seen such an interesting young man in a long time. What else do you want to say? Just say it all. Hunyuan Alchemy Saint wasn't angry. Instead, he looked interested as he looked at Ling Xiao. You're actually dead, right? Ling Xiao stared at the Hunyuan Dan Saint and said something that shocked everyone. Although you seem to have boundless vitality and powerful vitality, in reality, your life force has long since dried up. Your entire body is filled with the aura of death. Although I am very curious about what kind of existence you are indeed dead. Ling Xiao's voice was incomparably calm, but it caused everyone to feel a chill that penetrated their hearts. Hunyuan Alchemy Saint was dead? Then who was the old man in linen in front of them? Everyone could feel that the old man in linen in front of them wasn't a spirit-body remnant soul at all. Even if it was a remnant soul, it was impossible for him to live from ancient times until now. The old man in linen in front of them was indeed a living being with flesh and blood. Everyone couldn't help but look at the old man in linen with a trace of fear in their eyes. Even Xiao Rei and Ironheart Yuan's expressions changed. They were frightened by Ling Xiao's words at this moment. How could they still care about Hunyuan Alchemy Saint's inheritance? Although they had suspected that the old man in linen had a purpose before, after refining those memory stars, they were attracted by the various magical powers and had forgotten the danger here. Now they suddenly woke up. It turned out that the danger had never been eliminated. If what Ling Xiao said was true, then what was the old man's purpose? Compared to their own lives, the so-called inheritance, so-called opportunities, and fortune were just fleeting clouds. Not bad. I didn't expect you to be able to detect the situation in my body. I'm really getting more and more curious about you. However, this doesn't mean anything at all. Perhaps I used some secret technique. The world is so big. There are many things that you don't know. Boy, you really don't want to be my disciple? Hunyuan alchemy saint smiled slightly. His voice sounded ethereal and ethereal. However, his expression was very cold and indifferent. It looked very strange, causing everyone to feel a chill run down their spines. Everyone knows that Hunyuan alchemy saint is an expert in both alchemy and martial arts. Not only is his attainment in alchemy extremely high, but his combat strength is also extremely strong. However, very few people know that Hunyuan alchemy saint is also a heart saint. If I'm not wrong, this 9-story pagoda is transformed from your heart realm, right? Ling Xiao didn't directly answer Hunyuan alchemy saint's question. Instead, he continued to talk to himself. However, as soon as his voice fell, Hunyuan alchemy saint's eyes revealed a strange sharpness. Ling Xiao felt as if he was being stared at by some ancient fierce beast. Heart realm? Everyone couldn't help but exclaim. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. The content of Ling Xiao's words was too terrifying. However, after thinking about it carefully, everyone actually believed Ling Xiao's words. Only if the 9-story pagoda was Hunyuan alchemy saint's heart realm could they explain all of this. Only then could they explain the strange power and how they were inexplicably pushed to the 9th floor. Then, they saw Hunyuan alchemy saint under the starry sky. It turned out that Hunyuan alchemy saint was the real mastermind behind the scenes. Chapter 1852. Origin Pill Saint took a deep look at Ling Xiao. His gaze was extremely deep, as if he could see through the depths of Ling Xiao's heart. There was a cold and mysterious power. I really didn't expect you to be able to sense that the 9-story pagoda is a heart realm. I'm really more and more curious about you. You're only a 2nd revolution half-saint. How did you sense that this is a heart realm? It seems that you're qualified to inherit all my inheritance. Origin Pill Saint looked at Ling Xiao with great satisfaction and continued, as for you saying that I'm dead, I understand your doubts, but you don't understand my strength. If I don't want to die, even God can't take me away. I still want to rebuild the Sun-Moon Alchemy sect, climb to the top, and then destroy the devil race to avenge my Sun-Moon Alchemy sect. Boy, I admire you. Are you really not going to take me as your master? Origin Pill Saint seemed to be extremely stubborn. He insisted on taking Ling Xiao as his disciple. As for everyone, they were even more confused. At this time, they seemed to be unable to tell whether Ling Xiao was right or Origin Pill Saint was right. But in any case, the scene in front of them revealed a kind of strangeness. You're not Origin Pill Saint. If I'm not wrong, you're Origin Pill Saint's obsession, right? Unfortunately, you don't know it yourself. Even after so long, you believed that you were still alive. But did the Sun-Moon Alchemy sect and Long Eyebrow Taoist really die in the hands of the devil race? Ling Xiao sighed softly. There was a trace of sympathy in his eyes as he looked at Origin Pill Saint. Origin Pill Saint's expression suddenly changed. He stared at Ling Xiao and said, "How do you know my master is Long Eyebrow Taoist? They died in the hands of the devil race in the ancient catastrophe. I'll definitely avenge them. I definitely will." They didn't die in the hands of the devil race. They died in your hands, Ling Xiao said calmly, but his words were like a sudden clap of thunder, instantly shocking everyone to the extreme. A light flashed between Ling Xiao's eyebrows. In an instant, a bright light screen appeared in the void. A mysterious scene appeared on it. It was everything that Ling Xiao saw in the Black Memory Star. Everyone's body trembled. Their eyes revealed a look of disbelief. The Origin Universe Alchemy Saint's eyes instantly turned blood red. Rumble. The starry sky trembled violently. When everyone saw the primordial Origin Alchemy Saint use the eternal world of blood to kill Long Eyebrow Taoist and devour his essence blood, the endless world of blood enveloped the entire Sun-Moon Alchemy sect and slaughtered all the disciples of the Sun-Moon Alchemy sect. Everyone was in disbelief. What? Did Primordial Chaos Pill Saint really kill his master? The Sun-Moon Pill sect was also destroyed by him? How is this possible? Didn't they say that the people of the Sun-Moon Pill sect all died in the hands of the devil race experts? Sigh. The origin chaos alchemy saint did it for revenge. Didn't he kill Saint King Tsangqing and many demon clan experts in the end? I don't think Long Eyebrow Taoist would blame him if he knew about it in the underworld. Everyone discussed animatedly. They looked at the origin universe alchemy saint with complicated expressions. Although everyone admitted that the origin universe alchemy saint had no choice but to kill the devil race experts in the end, Long Eyebrow Taoist and everyone from the Sun Moon Alchemy sect died in the hands of the origin universe alchemy saint. It could be said that the origin universe alchemy saint was the real murderer. It turned out that the revenge that the origin universe alchemy saint had been longing for was just a joke. This is impossible. This is impossible. Master and the Sun Moon Alchemy sect were destroyed in the hands of the devil race. That person is not me. It's definitely not me. Or you. Where did you get these memory fragments from? The origin universe alchemy saint seemed to have gone completely mad. He stared at Ling Xiao with bloodthirsty eyes. Origin universe alchemy saint, I'm afraid that you can't accept your own actions. That's why you sealed this memory, right? I also saw it by accident. You should be able to tell if this memory is real or fake. Ling Xiao said slowly. His expression was very calm. However, he was extremely vigilant in his heart. The powerful energy around him was concealed. The wordless heavenly book and flipping sky seal were ready to be used at any time. After all, the news that Ling Xiao released was too explosive. It could simply deny everything that the origin universe alchemy saint knew. No one could guarantee that the origin universe alchemy saint would not suddenly attack. Rumble. The aura around the origin universe alchemy saint became extremely terrifying. The hearts in all directions were shaking violently. The bright stars seemed to shatter at any time. He was like a volcano that could erupt at any time. The energy in his body was extremely unstable. His face revealed an expression of incomparable pain and struggle. It was as if he was recalling something. It turns out that I really died long ago. It turns out that my so-called waiting for so many years was a joke. It turns out that I'm the murderer who killed the Sun Moon Alchemy sect. The origin universe alchemy saint's eyes were filled with incomparable pain. It was as if a dusty memory had been opened. His entire body was trembling violently. Boom. The majestic chi and blood in his body began to slowly dissipate at this moment. The majestic vitality also receded like the tide. His entire body was filled with a deep layer of death chi. It was a kind of lethargy that came when one's life had come to an end. Everyone's eyes were filled with incomparable fear. They all scattered in all directions, afraid that they would be affected by the origin universe alchemy saint. This kind of obsession no longer has any meaning to exist. You should rest in peace. Ling Xiao sighed softly and said slowly. The so-called origin universe alchemy saint in front of him was actually an obsession. Perhaps he wanted to rebuild the Sun Moon Alchemy sect, or perhaps he wanted to find a successor. Perhaps he had other motives. However, all of these were built on the bone-deep hatred. However, now that the dusty memory had been opened by Ling Xiao, the obsession that the origin universe alchemy saint had persisted in all this time seemed to have no meaning to exist at all. His life had also come to an end. Boom. The origin universe alchemy saint suddenly raised his hand and grabbed. Immediately, the stars in the sky shook. Billions of stars gathered in his palm and finally formed a bright sun that emitted incomparably brilliant light. Long Outyen, from now on, you are the sect master of the Sun Moon Alchemy sect. All the inheritance here belongs to you. The origin universe alchemy saint's entire body seemed to have turned into a bright rain of light. However, before he disappeared, a trace of madness appeared in his eyes. Then he pointed at the center of Ling Xiao's eyebrows. The bright sun instantly flew into the center of Ling Xiao's eyebrows. All the inheritance of the origin universe alchemy saint and the Sun Moon Alchemy sect? Everyone could not help but tremble. At this moment, everyone's eyes lit up. Their eyes were filled with greed as they looked at the bright sun. Chapter 1853. That dazzling sun was formed by the countless stars in this galaxy. It contained the Hunyuan Elixir Saints' lifetime inheritance. How could they not be envious? They had never thought that the Hunyuan Elixir Saint's obsession would not only not vent his anger on Ling Xiao, but also give his lifetime inheritance to Ling Xiao. This filled their hearts with jealousy and unwillingness. They had refined some memory stars before, so they knew how amazing and terrifying the inheritance in those memory stars was. The inheritance of alchemy from the ancient times, various peerless elixir recipes, the Hunyuan Golden Pill and the Hunyuan Daluo Golden Pill created by the Hunyuan Elixir Saint were enough to make a saint go crazy. That dazzling sun instantly entered between Ling Xiao's eyebrows. Its speed was extremely fast. Even if they wanted to fight for it, there was no chance at all. Long Outqian, hand over the Hunyuan Elixir Saint's inheritance. Those inheritances should be shared with everyone. You can't hog them alone. Huang Xuanzong's eyes were extremely cold as he looked directly at Ling Xiao and said, "Boom." Powerful auras erupted one after another. Under the dark starry sky, the eyes of many experts turned red as they surrounded Ling Xiao. That's right. The Hunyuan Elixir Saint's inheritance belongs to everyone. Hand it over quickly. Long Outqian, don't fail to appreciate our kindness. Don't be delusional to become enemies with so many people. Otherwise, no one can save you. Xiao Rui and Tai Xinyuan also took a step forward. Their eyes were extremely cold as they stared at Ling Xiao and said coldly, "Hand it over." Long Outqian, Xuanzong's holy son, young Master Xiao and young Master Tai are right. We also have a share of the Hunyuan Elixir Saint's inheritance. In my opinion, just kill him directly. Capture his primordial spirit and search his soul. Why are you talking so much nonsense with him? Everyone be raided one by one. The greed in their hearts had completely taken the upper hand. They also knew that Ling Xiao had the flipping sky seal and his combat strength was extraordinary. He could even kill a 9-revolution half-saint directly. However, the Hunyuan Elixir Saint's inheritance was too amazing. They did not believe that Ling Xiao could defeat thousands of people. They were afraid that Ling Xiao would not dare to offend so many experts. Ling Xiao's gaze instantly became extremely cold. He glanced at the crowd and said, "The Hunyuan Alchemy Saint's inheritance is mine. If you don't want to die, then come at me." These people were really short-sighted. Ling Xiao sneered in his heart. Did they really think that the Primordial Chaos Pill Saint was dead? If the Primordial Chaos Pill Saint had died, then the heart realm of the 9-story pagoda would have dissipated long ago. In other words, the mastermind was still there, but they were already impatiently fighting for the inheritance of the Primordial Chaos Pill Saint. Ling Xiao had no intention of reminding them. It was a good opportunity to use these people to test what the mastermind behind the scenes was. You are really biting the hand that feeds you. Ungrateful. Have you forgotten who protected you with the cyclic sky seal? That's why you were able to come to the 9th level. Otherwise, you would have died in the first few levels. Lin Shi sneered. On the 7th and 8th levels, Ling Xiao had used the flipping sky seal to protect hundreds of people. Otherwise, they would have died in the strange bone ash storm. Hearing Lin Shi's words, the faces of the several hundred people immediately revealed an extremely awkward expression, not daring to look Ling Xiao in the eye. But there was still someone who sneered and said, "Protecting us, we're naturally grateful in our hearts. But the inheritance of the Primordial Chaos Pill Saint should also belong to us. Him handing it over has no effect on him. I think he clearly wants to take it all for himself." That's right. If you don't hand over the inheritance of the Primordial Chaos Pill Saint today, you can forget about leaving here. Everyone was already blinded by greed now. How could they still care so much? In order to obtain the inheritance of the Primordial Chaos Pill Saint, even if they had to kill Ling Xiao, they would not hesitate. Moreover, as long as they killed Ling Xiao, who would know that they were ungrateful? Among those who were protected by Ling Xiao, many people's eyes revealed a trace of obscure killing intent. Clang. A resplendent sword light traversed the firmament, as if splitting heaven and earth, instantly separating Ling Xiao from the crowd. Jin Se held an ancient sword in her hand. Her gaze was cold, and her temperament was indifferent. She swept a glance over the crowd and said indifferently, "Those who dare to attack the former, die." Among the thousands of experts, only Lin Shi and Jin Se chose to stand on Ling Xiao's side, while the others stood on the opposite side of Ling Xiao. They would not give up until they obtained the inheritance of the primordial chaos pill saint. "Everyone, let's attack together and kill Long Outyen. I swear on the reputation of the Five Elements Saint sect that as long as I obtain Long Outyen's primordial spirit and search his soul, I will share the inheritance of the primordial chaos pill saint with everyone." Huang Xuanzong's gaze was extremely cold as he roared. "Could kill him. Kill!" Everyone sneered. Their eyes were overflowing with killing intent, and the terrifying aura around them rose, causing the dark void to tremble violently. A trace of worry appeared in Lin Shi's eyes. Although Ling Xiao's flipping sky seal was very strong, there were thousands of experts here, and many of them had flawless saint treasures. Could Ling Xiao really defeat so many people? Jin Se's gaze was extremely sharp, as bright as a sword light. Sword essence rose around her, and the ancient sword in her hand hummed as if it was ready to explode with a thunderous attack at any time. "Very well. Since you all want to die, I will fulfill your wish," Ling Xiao said slowly, and there was no trace of emotion in his voice. He suddenly raised his head, and his two bright eyes were majestic and mysterious, as if they could pierce through the void in front of him. Rumble! The flipping sky seal suddenly rose into the sky and turned into a black mountain. It was ancient and majestic, and it was extremely terrifying. It suppressed the experts. Ling Xiao took the initiative to attack. Golden divine light rose around him, and the sound of a dragon's roar shook the void. Streaks of purple gas filled the air, and behind him, there were 3,000 worlds. Ling Xiao waved his invincible fist and attacked the experts in front of him. Although he was only a second revolution half-saint, the invincible aura that filled the air made everyone's expression change. They felt as if they were facing an invincible saint. "Everyone, use your saint treasures and follow me to stop the flipping sky seal. As long as we can stop the flipping sky seal, Long Outyen will definitely die." Huang Xuanzong's eyes flashed as he roared. The five-colored divine light filled his palm, and the Five Elements void-breaking shuttle exuded a powerful saint aura. It flew toward the flipping sky seal, and the divine chains of order traversed the void. The power of the Five Elements reinforced and restrained each other, as if it was going to imprison the flipping sky seal directly. Xiao Rui and Iron-Hearted Ape seemed to have discussed with Huang Xuanzong before. Xiao Rui took out a golden long spear, and the spear shadow covered the sky. It turned into a spear light that could penetrate everything, and shot toward the flipping sky seal. Ling Xiao's gaze was ice-cold as he stared at Huang Xuanzong and punched out again. "How can your physical body be so strong?" There was a trace of shock in Huang Xuanzong's eyes. Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the second revolution semi-sage realm. However, his fist attack was equally matched with Huang Xuanzong's. Huang Xuanzong had even used the peerless holy technique, Five Elements Heavenly Wheel. However, he didn't gain any advantage over Ling Xiao. This was unacceptable to him. After all, he was already at the ninth revolution semi-sage realm. He was the leader of the 5 great holy sons of the Five Elements Saint sect. He had always thought highly of himself. Apart from a few monstrous geniuses, no one in the same realm was his opponent. He didn't expect that a second revolution semi-sage Long Outyen would be able to fight him to a draw. There are still many things that you can't imagine. Ling Xiao's gaze was blazing. He instantly let out a long roar that shook the clouds. His entire body soared into the sky. Using the secret teleportation technique, his speed was extremely fast. He instantly passed through several experts who were rushing towards him and punched out at Huang Xuanzong. Boom! The terrifying fist imprint seemed to be able to obliterate everything. It collided with Huang Xuanzong in an instant. This time, Huang Xuanzong was a little absent-minded. He was actually sent flying by Ling Xiao's punch. "And you too. Since you want the inheritance of the chaotic essence pill saint, then exchange it with your lives. Ling Zhao's gaze was incomparably cold. In an instant, it fell on Xiao Rui and Tai Xingyuan. A stream of light flashed under his feet. A chaotic mist pervaded the air. His fists intertwined like two golden divine dragons and pressed down on Xiao Rui and Tai Xingyuan. Xiao Rui and Tai Xingyuan couldn't help but change their expressions. They didn't expect that Long Outyin would be so terrifying without the flipping sky seal. This made both of them tremble with fear. However, Ling Zhao's speed was too fast. Thousands of people wanted to besiege Ling Xiao, but he used the secret teleportation technique. In an instant, he was tens of thousands of meters away. He shuttled through the crowd as if he was walking on flat ground. No one could catch his figure. Many of the attacks missed. Long Outyin, go to hell. Xiao Rui gritted his teeth. In an instant, his golden long spear flew back to his palm like a stream of light. Then, a terrifying saint aura erupted. He stabbed the spear towards Ling Zhao's chest. Tai Xingyuan also called back his purple long staff. His whole body exploded with terrifying power. He raised his long staff and chopped towards Ling Xiao. Suppress. Ling Zhao's gaze was incomparably calm. It was as if he didn't put these two powerful saint treasures in his heart. He shouted softly. In an instant, 9 streams of light flew out from his body. They transformed into 9 ancient tablets filled with chaotic qi. They went towards Xiao Rui and Tai Xinyu. Heavenly Dao Primal Chaos Tablet. How can this Long Outyin be so lucky? Legend has it that there are 81 Heavenly Dao Primal Chaos Tablets. It's also a set of top-grade saint treasures. It's not weaker than the flipping sky seal. Everyone's eyes turned red. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Previously, there were rumors that Long Outyin had a Heavenly Dao Primal Chaos Tablet. However, most of them hadn't seen it. Now that they saw Ling Xiao taking out 9 Heavenly Dao Primal Chaos Tablets, it made them feel unbalanced. They were filled with jealousy. Boom! The 9 Heavenly Dao Primal Chaos Tablets bloomed with dazzling light. In an instant, they blocked the golden long spear and purple long staff. Light flashed under Lin Zhao's feet. He directly traversed through the void and appeared in front of Xiao Rui and Tai Xingyuan. Then he punched with both fists. Xiao Rui and Tai Xingyuan couldn't dodge. Their faces were ugly. They could only desperately roar and use all their cultivation to resist. Kacha! With a crisp sound, Xiao Rui and Tai Xingyuan's arms suddenly broke. Then, they exploded into a bloody mist in the void. Both of them staggered back. Their eyes were filled with incomparable horror. Kill him! Everyone's eyes were red. Taking advantage of the time when Ling Xiao was fighting with Huang Xuanzong, Xiao Rui, and Ironheart Ape, they finally formed a huge circle and surrounded Ling Xiao. After that, they all roared and charged towards Ling Xiao. Thousands of experts. Most of them were high-level half-saints. Only a small portion of them were low-level half-saints. If so many experts fought with all their strength, they could even contend against a true saint. Chapter 1855. Rumble. The dark starry sky was completely illuminated. It was as if endless waves were surging and converging into a huge tornado. Ling Xiao was in the center of the storm. The terrifying attacks from all around surged toward him, as if they would drown him at any time. Ling Xiao instantly turned into a dazzling stream of light, using a secret teleportation technique to soar into the sky. However, the divine light that filled the sky gathered above his head like a huge net, as if trying to pull him down from the sky. Break! Ling Xiao said softly. His gaze instantly became incomparably sharp, calm, and deep. However, there was no trace of fear in his eyes. Rumble. Translator, Transin Editor, Transin the flipping sky seal, which had been entangled with dozens of holy treasures, suddenly released a terrifying emperor's might. It swept across the sky and broke through the divine light. It turned into a streamer and appeared above Ling Zhao's head. Heaven and earth shook violently. The terrifying waves from the flipping sky seal swept out in an instant and annihilated the storm in the sky. Ling Xiao held the flipping sky seal and shot up into the sky like a celestial emperor pulling up a heavenly pillar. Then he pressed down on the thousands of experts below. What kind of power is this? Everyone was stunned. Their eyes were filled with horror. The joint attack of thousands of experts and dozens of holy treasures was unable to seal the flipping sky seal. The flipping sky seal still rushed out. The power emitted by the flipping sky seal made all of them feel fear from the depths of their souls. Their bodies began to tremble uncontrollably. Jin Sei and Lin Shi, who were fighting with several experts, were also affected by the fluctuations. They flew backward at the same time. Fortunately, they were at the edge of the battlefield and were not injured. Jin Sei and Lin Shi's battle strength was also very strong. However, everyone's target was Ling Xiao. No one targeted them, so they were not in any danger. After feeling the terrifying power of the flipping sky seal, they were slightly relieved. This was the peerless treasure, the flipping sky seal. It could kill a saint. How could a group of experts resist it? Master, I have found the location of the behind-the-scenes manipulator. He hid so well. If it were not for your battle, I'm afraid we might not have been able to lure him out. Thunder Spirit King's voice sounded in Ling Xiao's mind. Very good. I want to see who would set up such a huge game of chess in the primordial chaos Pill Saint's mystic realm. Ling Xiao's gaze was incomparably sharp, and his entire body emitted an extremely dangerous fluctuation. Ling Xiao held the flipping sky seal in his hand and radiated a dazzling light. The flipping sky seal expanded in the void like a black sun, extremely dazzling. In an instant, it blasted into the depths of the dark void. What is Long Outyin trying to do? Everyone was stunned. When they felt the terrifying aura of the flipping sky seal, they had already given up the idea of attacking. They thought that Ling Xiao would kill them all. Some of them even began to despair. However, to their surprise, Ling Xiao did not target them. Instead, he held the flipping sky seal and launched a thunderous attack into the depths of the void. Terrifying divine light bloomed. This time, Ling Xiao directly activated the full power of the flipping sky seal. It directly pierced through the void. The void exploded with a loud bang, and cracks appeared in the void, as if leading to another world. What is that? Someone exclaimed. His entire body trembled violently, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. In the distance, in the void that was blasted by Ling Xiao, an extremely terrifying sea of blood appeared. The sea of blood churned and emitted an evil and terrifying fluctuation of power. Wails of ghosts and howls of wolves could be heard, causing everyone to tremble. The sea of blood churned and condensed into a blood-red demonic face. It looked extremely ferocious and evil, and it stared directly at Ling Xiao. Lowly ant, you can actually discover me? A cold voice resounded in the void. It was like a thunderclap, rumbling loudly. Who exactly are you? The primordial chaos Pill Saint's obsession has already disappeared. Logically speaking, the heart realm of the 9-story pagoda should have been broken. However, you are controlling everything behind the scenes. If I'm not wrong, the fact that the primordial chaos Pill Saint's obsession could survive until now has something to do with you, right? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of seriousness as he stared at the blood-red demonic face and asked, What? It's the mastermind behind the scenes? Everyone was shocked. Even Huang Xuanzong, Xiao Rui, and Tai Xinyuan's faces turned extremely ugly. They were still thinking about how to compete with Ling Xiao for the inheritance of the primordial chaos Pill Saint. However, they did not expect that all of this was a trap, a huge conspiracy. Lowly human, I'm getting more and more curious about you. With your cultivation base, you can actually detect all of this. It seems that you have a secret on you. Well, when I capture all of you, I'll naturally be able to obtain your secret. The blood-red demonic face laughed sinisterly. Its voice sounded a little creepy. The monstrous blood chi spread out, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. This is the eternal world of blood? The eternal world of blood is the demon clan's superpower that the primordial chaos Pill Saint cultivated. Legend has it that it is extremely ominous. I didn't expect it to give birth to such a freak like you. Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. He saw the last scene in the sealed memory of the primordial chaos pill saint. The primordial chaos pill saint unleashed the eternal world of blood and massacred everyone. Regardless of whether it was the disciples of the Sun Moon Pill sect or the experts of the demon clan, they all died in the eternal world of blood. Ling Xiao did not expect the eternal world of blood to exist and give birth to such a terrifying freak. The demonic face gave Ling Xiao the feeling that it was comparable to a supreme saint. It exuded a vast and terrifying aura. It was extremely strange. Ignorant humans, how can you understand the greatness of this seat? I am immortal and indestructible. I control the heavens and the myriad of worlds. All living things are just food for me. You won't be surprised. The blood-red demonic face sneered and instantly pounced on Ling Xiao and the others. Rumble. The sea of blood surged violently. The terrifying blood light instantly covered the dark starry sky. It seemed as if the world in front of everyone had turned into a blood-red world. The aura of the blood-red demonic face was extremely terrifying. It was as if it wanted to devour everyone. The sea of blood surged violently. In an instant, rays of blood-red light appeared from within, forming many blood-red demonic shadows. They were extremely ferocious and terrifying. They pounced towards the crowd from all directions. Chapter 1856. The boundless blood sea rose with surging waves, emitting a strange crimson light. Mysterious crimson demonic shadows flew out from the blood sea, each of them exuding a terrifying aura. The blood-red demonic face stared at Ling Xiao, its eyes filled with cold, murderous intent. It opened its mouth and shot out rays of blood-red light, forming an extremely powerful blood-red vortex that swallowed Ling Xiao. I'd like to see what you are. Ling Xiao sneered. His eyes were sharp. The flipping sky seal buzzed in his palm. Powerful saint aura burst out and shrouded his entire body. Swoosh! Ling Xiao leaped into the sky, holding the flipping sky seal in his hand. He unleashed the ultimate power of the flipping sky seal and pressed it down on the crimson demonic face. Boom! Streaks of black light rose from the flipping sky seal. They were like black lightning, overbearing and majestic. They contained the power to destroy evil and kill demons. Suddenly, the sea of blood in the sky collapsed and crashed into the demonic face. The demonic face suddenly exploded and turned into a cloud of blood mist. It was as if it could not withstand a single blow. It was no match for the flipping sky seal at all and turned into ashes. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and he did not dare to relax. Suddenly, he felt a sense of danger behind him. Without hesitation, he used the secret skill of teleportation and appeared tens of thousands of feet away in an instant. Boom! At Ling Zhao's original position, a huge crimson wave rose to the sky. The crimson light rose and condensed, forming a gigantic demonic face, which was full of mockery. "Ant, you will never understand my greatness." The demonic face sneered. In an instant, hundreds of millions of crimson demonic shadows emerged from the blood sea and pounced on Ling Xiao from all directions. Bang! 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 Translator, Transin editor, Transin the flipping sky seal formed a huge saintly way boundary around Ling Xiao. The crimson demonic shadows crashed into the boundary and exploded, causing ripples to appear on the boundary. At the same time, the crimson light was extremely strange. It seemed to have a mind of its own and wanted to drill into the boundary. However, black lightning rose around the flipping sky seal and struck the crimson light into nothingness. However, the others were not as lucky as Ling Xiao. A sea of blood pervaded the surroundings. Blood-red demonic shadows rose up one after another. These blood-red demonic shadows were extremely strange. Not only were they extremely fast, but they also contained a kind of fluctuation that could make people lose their minds. Several experts of the semi-sage realm were pounced on by these blood-red demonic shadows in an instant. The essence and blood in their bodies immediately dissipated. Their entire bodies fell into the sea of blood, and not even their bones remained. These crimson demonic shadows are afraid of the power of yang astral force. Everyone, use your fire and lightning Dao skills to attack. Lin Shi's eyes flashed with a divine light, and she shouted loudly. Rumble! Everyone immediately calmed down. Their eyes were full of monstrous fighting spirit. One after another, they performed powerful magic. Flames and lightning filled the sky and shrouded the crimson demonic shadows. Sure enough, as Lin Shi had expected, although these blood-red demonic shadows were evil and strange, they were afraid of the power of yang. Under the power of the lightning and flames, they were reduced to nothingness. However, before everyone could rejoice, their hearts sank again. They saw that after the crimson demonic shadows disappeared, the sea of blood boiled, and the heavens and the earth shook. Unexpectedly, more demonic shadows condensed from the sea of blood and then pounced on everyone. It was as if they could never be killed. The sea of blood was the source of life for these crimson demonic shadows. Damn it! What the hell are these crimson demonic shadows? Why can't they be killed? An extremely ugly expression appeared on someone's face as he spoke in a somewhat discouraged manner. Although these crimson demonic shadows were not so strong that they could not contend with them, they were constantly resurrecting in the sea of blood. At this rate, everyone's cultivation would be exhausted sooner or later. At that time, they would probably become lambs waiting to be slaughtered. More pressure was on Ling Xiao's side. Almost all of the crimson demonic face's attention was on Ling Xiao. It was as if there was something on Ling Xiao that attracted him and made him want to kill him. Rumble! Streaks of blood-red light collided with the flipping sky seal like cannonballs and exploded like fireworks. However, there were traces of strange blood chi that kept trying to corrode the insides of the flipping sky seal like corpses. Master, this is not good. These streaks of blood light are extremely strange. They can actually corrode holy treasures. At this rate, even if the flipping sky seal is a top holy treasure, it will be damaged. We have to find a way to get out of here. Thunder Spirit King's anxious voice sounded in Ling Xiao's heart. The crimson demonic face's strength was too terrifying. Ling Xiao did not know what kind of existence it was. It could actually control the bloodway origin. The corrosive power was so terrifying that even the flipping sky seal could not withstand it. Thunder Spirit King, you just pierced through the void and opened the eternal world of blood. Are you confident that the flipping sky seal can break the 9-story pagoda and open the barrier between the void saint world and the 9-story pagoda? Ling Xiao asked. This was the most important question. It was because of the barrier between the 9-story pagoda and the void saint world that the holy badges between everyone's eyebrows could not be used. Therefore, if they died here, they would really die. If they could open the barrier, even if they were killed by the sea of blood, they would have a chance to escape with the help of the holy badges. It's difficult. However, we can give it a try. If we activate the extreme emperor's power of the flipping sky seal, we might be able to break the barrier of the 9-story pagoda. However, the most important thing is to find the real body of the crimson demonic face. Thunder Spirit King said slowly. The real body of the crimson demonic face? He has indeed hidden himself well. However, does he really think that the eternal world of blood alone can keep me here? Ling Xiao sneered. His eyes were extremely deep as he looked at a place in the depths of the blood sea. There seemed to be a mysterious fluctuation that the wordless heavenly book yearned for and looked forward to. Although Ling Xiao could not sense it, he believed that the wordless heavenly book senses could sense that the real body of the crimson demonic face was there. Swoosh! Just as another demonic shadow pounced on Ling Xiao instantly activated the flipping sky seal and shot up into the sky. Streaks of golden thunderbolts flashed around him and shattered all the demonic shadows. Rumble! Translator, Transin Editor, Transin the flipping sky seal shone brightly and dazzlingly. It floated above the boundless blood sea like a towering mountain. Ling Xiao stood on the flipping sky seal. With a thought, the flipping sky seal rumbled across the sky and crashed into the depths of the blood sea. I would like to see if you are a human or a ghost. Ling Zhao's voice was extremely cold and there seemed to be a blazing sword radiance flashing in his eyes. Chapter 1857. Rumble. The blood sea began to boil violently. Blood-red waves rushed to the sky and swept toward the flipping sky seal, as if to block its path. The blood-red demonic face looked flustered and exasperated. Its eyes were filled with viciousness and anger. "It seems like I've found the right place." Ling Xiao smiled coldly. The flipping sky seal buzzed and vibrated. A terrifying wave of energy emanated from it. A vast emperor's aura erupted. Chaotic chi rose, as if it was going to suppress the heavens. It contained an unstoppable and invincible aura. The sky was filled with crimson light. The flipping sky seal was like a stabilizing needle. It pierced into the depths of the blood sea. The blood sea on both sides dispersed and exploded with terrifying waves. It was suppressed into nothingness by the flipping sky seal. At this moment, the power of the flipping sky seal seemed to have increased by 100 or 1,000 times. The blood-red demonic face was flustered and exasperated. This is not a holy treasure. Extreme Emperor's aura? The blood-red demonic face stared at Ling Xiao in disbelief. There was even a hint of greed in its eyes. It seemed that some kind of restriction had been broken. In the depths of the blood sea, brilliant light shone. Great Tao petals danced and runes circled around. The Tao rhymes were ethereal and mysterious. A bright ball of light appeared. It was red like blood. It was like a flesh fetus. It vibrated continuously as if it was nurturing some kind of terrifying creature. A blood-red devil fetus. When Ling Xiao saw the devil fetus, a solemn expression appeared on his face. The blood-red devil fetus was too terrifying. Blood-red runes flashed as if it was the origin of the eternal world of blood. Every time it beat, it would devour the surrounding energy. However, the flipping sky seal's attack had broken the heart realm of the 9-story pagoda and connected the eternal world of blood and the void saint world. Rumble. The heavens and earth trembled. The saint badges between everyone's eyebrows began to shine brightly again. The 9-story pagoda collapsed and everyone appeared in the origin mystery realm again. "Ha! We're out? We're finally out. Let's get out of here quickly. What kind of monster is that? Ask the sages of the sect to come and kill the demon." Everyone who had been bitterly battling the Crimson Spectre suddenly discovered that the 9-story pagoda had shattered, and they had left the mysterious world. Immediately, their faces became wild with joy. At this moment, no one cared about the battle anymore. They all turned into streams of light and flew out of the primal chaos secret realm. "You all deserve to die." A cold and furious voice exploded in the void. Rumble. A resplendent blood-red sun rose into the sky, emitting an incomparably terrifying light. It bobbed up and down in the sea of blood. There seemed to be an incomparably mysterious blood-red figure within it, emitting an aura that made one's heart tremble. The demonic face was thoroughly enraged. It did not expect the cyclic sky seal to be so terrifying that even the heart realm of the 9-story pagoda could not withstand a single blow and collapsed so easily. Most importantly, Ling Xiao had found the location of its real body, which made it even more furious. The blood-red sun suddenly pressed down, and streaks of blood-red demonic light shot towards the crowd, containing an aura that could destroy everything. Everyone's face changed drastically, and they all fled in all directions. However, in the face of such terrifying power, they did not have the slightest chance to escape. They were instantly shot by the blood-red demonic light, and then their entire bodies exploded. They were swept into the sea of blood and merged into it. Buzz. However, silver holy badges lit up, and in an instant, their primordial spirits were swept up and directly left the void saint world. Although many people did not die under the blood-red demonic light, they were scared out of their wits and chose to commit suicide, leaving the void saint world. "You all go, don't worry about me." Ling Xiao transmitted his voice to Lin Shi and Jin Se, asking them to leave first. Lin Shi and Jin Se had powerful sage treasures on them, so it was not a big deal. Originally, they were still a little hesitant, but after hearing Ling Zhao's words, they nodded and instantly turned to fly out of the primal chaos secret realm. Damn it! Now that this bastard is dead, the primal chaos Pill Saint's legacy is really going to end. Huang Xuanzong, Xiao Rui, and Tai Xingyuan looked at Ling Xiao with hatred. They were extremely unwilling to accept this, but they did not dare to stay any longer. At this moment, Ling Xiao was being targeted by the blood-red demonic fetus. Streaks of blood-red light, like divine chains of order, traversed the void and formed a huge blood net, sealing Ling Xiao and the flipping sky seal in it. Aren't you afraid that I will also commit suicide? Ling Xiao looked at the blood-red demonic face with interest, and his eyes were filled with a strange light. You can try. I didn't make them stay, not because I can't, but because I don't want to. However, I can still do it if I try my best to make your primordial spirit stay. Ant of the human clan, since you dare to ruin my plans, you shall pay with your life. The blood-red demonic face seemed to be on the verge of rage. The murderous intent in its eyes was like the sea, boiling and surging, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Is that so? Then give it a try. Ling Xiao said calmly, and his eyes became sharper. At the same time, he felt that the wordless heavenly book was getting more and more excited, as if the blood-red demonic fetus in front of him was very important to the wordless heavenly book. However, Ling Xiao was still very cautious, because he still could not figure out the background of the blood-red demonic fetus. Rumble! The blood-red demonic face flashed and instantly integrated into the blood-red demonic fetus. Streaks of divine chains of order soared into the sky, bursting out terrifying and dazzling fluctuations, and shot toward the vital parts of Ling Zhao's body. Thunder Spirit King felt the terrifying fluctuations of the blood-red demonic fetus, and he also began to fight desperately. Streaks of lightning burst out, and the flipping sky seal and the blood-red demonic fetus fought fiercely. Every time, terrifying fluctuations of divine light burst out, like stormy waves. Kill! Ling Zhao's eyes were like iron, and the terrifying aura around him burst out. Once again, he activated the Extreme Emperor's power in the flipping sky seal. In an instant, the heavens and the earth cracked, and chaos rose. It was like the scene of the creation of the world, causing the void to tremble violently. With Ling Zhao's current cultivation, he could only activate the Extreme Emperor's power of the flipping sky seal about 3 times. After that, his cultivation would be exhausted, and it would be difficult for him to continue. This was the last time, but also the most powerful attack of the flipping sky seal. Crack! Chapter 1858. The Crimson Demon fetus seemed to be unable to withstand such a terrifying attack. A crack appeared on it, and the blood-red runes exploded. Blood spilled out, shattering the surrounding void. How can you burst out such a powerful force? The Crimson Demon face turned pale with fright. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and he tried to escape by riding the bloody light in the sky. Ling Zhao's face turned pale, but his eyes were extremely bright. The flipping sky seal flashed and stopped the demon fetus. Ling Xiao used the secret skill of teleportation and came directly in front of the crimson demon fetus. He slapped the demon fetus and began to use the secret skill of devouring to devour the power of the crimson demon fetus. Ling Xiao suddenly looked to the side and found that the crimson demon fetus was empty. There was not a trace of energy in it. At the same time, he felt an extremely strong sense of danger. Immediately, the surrounding space trembled, and an extremely obscure blood-red light exploded before his eyes. In an instant, an extremely terrifying demonic face appeared. Then, it laughed coldly and directly charged into the space between his eyebrows. "And you've been fooled. When I devour your primordial spirit, I'd like to see if your flipping sky seal magic treasure can still protect your primordial spirit." The demon face sneered. Almost as soon as he finished speaking, he had already entered Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness. It turned out that he had used the golden cicada shedding its carapace technique. On the surface, he had lured Ling Xiao to chase after him, but in fact, the energy in the demon fetus had been hidden. Once Ling Xiao was distracted, he would launch a killing blow. Speaking of which, the demon fetus was very depressed. Originally, with its strength, killing a half-saint was no different from killing an ant. Even if it had a holy treasure, it would be useless. However, the flipping sky seal was not an ordinary holy treasure. It could burst out with extreme emperor's might, which made the demon fetus very wary. Therefore he had to use this trick. But now, the demon fetus had entered Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. In his opinion, Ling Xiao had no power to resist. "Are you so sure that you can defeat me?" Ling Xiao's expression was extremely calm. There was not a trace of panic on his face. Instead, there was a trace of sarcasm in his voice. Rumble. Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness began to tremble. The blood-red light that was spewing out of the devil fetus actually dissipated into nothingness. An ancient heavenly tome hovered in the air, radiating with a dignified, mysterious, and ancient presence. It protected Ling Xiao's soul firmly. This is the wordless heavenly book? The devil fetus trembled violently, his eyes filled with disbelief. How could you possibly have the wordless heavenly book? Why is this chaos treasure in the hands of an ant like you? The devil fetus finally began to panic. He was even a little flustered. The aura emitted by the wordless heavenly book made it instinctively feel fear. Without even thinking, it wanted to escape from Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. "Since you're here, then stay," Ling Xiao said indifferently. Boom. The wordless heavenly book flashed and sealed off the demon fetus escape route in an instant. Mysterious rays of light fell from the wordless heavenly book, as dazzling as jade. However, to the devil fetus, those rays of light were like deadly poisons. They instantly pierced into the devil fetus and began to devour the energy within the devil fetus. "Lowly ant, I don't accept this, I don't accept this," the devil fetus roared wildly, his eyes filled with terror. However, no matter how much he screamed, threatened, or even begged for mercy and submitted to Ling Xiao remained unmoved. His gaze was indifferent. Rumble. Under the imprisonment of the wordless heavenly book, the devil fetus could not resist at all. The vast blood-way origin energy in his body was integrated into the wordless heavenly book. However, the devil fetus' understanding of the blood-way origin energy was also absorbed and refined by Ling Xiao. What exactly is this devil fetus? How can it possess such terrifying power? Ling Xiao was a little shaken, his eyes filled with disbelief. As he devoured the devil fetus, he realized that the wordless heavenly book seemed to be perfected again. The majestic blood-way power was endless, as if it was the gathering of the blood essence of billions of living beings. Ling Xiao was extremely shocked. Even with the wordless heavenly book's terrifying devouring power, it still took a few days to completely refine the devil fetus. This devil fetus is a monster nurtured in the eternal world of blood? I never thought that I would break the obsession of the Origin Chaos Pill Saint and release such a monster. After Ling Xiao had completely devoured the devil fetus, especially the majestic primordial spirit power of the devil fetus, Ling Xiao understood a little. It turned out that the Origin Chaos Pill Saint had used the Blood Emperor's supreme technique, the Eternal World of Blood, to save the Sun Moon Pill sect. However, he had no way of controlling the power of the Eternal World of Blood. As a result, he had devoured the Long-Brow Taoist and everyone in the Sun Moon Pill sect. After that battle, the Origin Chaos Pill Saint had awakened from his chaotic state. When he recalled what he had done, he was devastated. He hurriedly built the Origin Mystery Realm, left behind the legacy of the Sun Moon Pill sect, and hid it in the heart realm of the 9-story pagoda. However, what the Origin Chaos Pill Saint did not know was that his life had completely disappeared because of the Eternal World of Blood. All that was left was his obsession to revive the Sun Moon Pill sect and find a successor. As a result, the devil fetus of the Eternal World of Blood had trapped itself in a cocoon. Although it had devoured the life of the Origin Chaos Pill Saint and gained intelligence, it had been trapped in the eternal world of blood because of the Origin Chaos Pill Saint's obsession. It was because Ling Xiao had solved the mystery that the Origin Chaos Pill Saint's obsession had disappeared. That was how the devil fetus had been born and what had happened afterward. Could this devil fetus be the will left behind by the primordial blood emperor? Otherwise, why would such a monster appear in the eternal world of blood? Ling Xiao's heart shuddered. He had also received the legacy of the eternal world of blood and understood the power and terror of the eternal world of blood. However, when he thought of the Origin Chaos Pill Saint's fate, he found it hard to accept. He absolutely could not cultivate in the eternal world of blood. Otherwise, he was afraid that something ominous would happen. The Sun Moon Pill Scripture and the Origin Heart Pill Scripture. Is this the complete legacy? Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes. There was a glimmer of light in his eyes. The Sun Moon Pill Scripture was the peerless legacy of the Sun Moon Pill sect. It contained the supreme technique of the alchemy Tao. The Origin Heart Pill Scripture was the life's essence and wisdom of the Origin Chaos Pill Saint. Although it was not necessarily comparable to the Sun Moon Pill Scripture, it contained the Origin Heart Pill Scripture. It was also extremely precious. These two supreme classics of the alchemy Tao were now in Ling Xiao's hands. Chapter 1859. Everyone had already left the immemorial mystery realm. This mystic realm had been completely destroyed. Although the devil fetus had been killed by Ling Xiao in the end, the sea of blood had drowned everything. The magnificent buildings left behind by the Sun Moon Elixir sect had also disappeared into the sea of blood. The last traces of the Sun Moon Alchemy sect and the immemorial mystery realm alchemy saint had also disappeared. Only the inheritance had not been severed and had fallen into Ling Xiao's hands. The immemorial mystery realm alchemy saint was also a tragic figure. He had deep feelings for the Sun Moon Alchemy sect and the Long Eyebrow Taoist. But in the end, the Sun Moon Alchemy sect and the Long Eyebrow Taoist had been destroyed in his hands. As a result, he could not accept this fact and his obsession had remained. To a certain extent, the immemorial mystery realm alchemy saint could be considered as an alternative to achieving immortality. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the immemorial mystery realm. The Sun Moon Alchemy Sutra and the Immemorial Heart Alchemy Sutra, the two supreme classics, had been integrated into Ling Xiao's primordial spirit. His primordial spirit had become increasingly clear and had a mysterious Tao rhyme. These two supreme classics not only contain the mystery of alchemy Tao and heart Tao, but also the immemorial mystery realm alchemy saint's lifetime comprehension. After Ling Xiao had refined these two supreme classics, it was as if he had obtained the immemorial mystery realm alchemy saint's lifetime experience. His attainments in alchemy Tao had also improved by leaps and bounds. Many elixirs seemed to be at his fingertips. Many alchemy Tao principles that he had previously found obscure were now easily understood. It's time to leave. Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes. There was a trace of mysterious light flickering in his eyes and a strange Tao rhyme pervaded his entire body. Although the immemorial mystery realm seemed to be incomparably dangerous, it contained monstrous opportunities and fortunes. Ling Xiao had devoured the devil fetus. Not only had he obtained these two supreme classics and comprehended the origin of alchemy Tao, but he had also obtained the bloodway origin power in the devil fetus. The accumulation of the half-saint realm was of great use to achieving immortality. The true meaning of the holy way comprehended in the half-saint realm had hope of condensing a Tao fruit after achieving immortality. The stronger the accumulation, the more Tao fruits condensed, and naturally, the stronger one's strength. Ling Xiao leaped up and turned into a stream of light, flying out of the immemorial mystery realm. Outside the primordial chaos mystic realm, Lin Shi and Jin Se stood side by side, looking at the entrance of the mystic realm, waiting for Ling Xiao to come out. You're finally out. Where is the blood sea devil fetus? After seeing Ling Xiao come out, Lin Shi's eyes revealed a trace of joy as she hurriedly walked up and asked, I've already destroyed the blood sea devil fetus. Let's leave this place quickly. The pill talisman ceremony is about to begin. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Alchemy and talisman ceremony? Long Outyen, what does the pill talisman ceremony have to do with you? Are you going to participate in the pill talisman ceremony too? Lin Shi glanced at Ling Xiao suspiciously. Ling Xiao was stunned. He could not help but laugh bitterly. He had forgotten that his current identity was Long Outyen and not Zhao Ritian. He had almost been exposed. I also heard about it from him. The alchemy talisman ceremony is a grand event in the divine world. Who doesn't know about it? Let's leave the void sacred world first. Ling Xiao chuckled. If you want to participate in the pill talisman ceremony, you can come to Taishan City to find me. Jean Sei suddenly raised her head and said faintly. Alright, if there's a chance, I'll definitely go and take a look. Ling Xiao said with a smile. However, he was instantly excited. It turned out that Jean Sei was really in Taishan City. This meant that even if he left the void sacred world, he could still see Jean Sei again. Ling Xiao, Jean Sei, and Lin Shi returned to the starting ground together. At the starting ground, the blind old Taoist carried the crippled monk on his back and continued to shout in the square. The only difference was that there was now a little monk beside him who was carrying a banner. After seeing Ling Xiao, the little monk's face suddenly revealed an extremely happy expression. However, Ling Xiao secretly transmitted a message to him, telling him not to come over for the time being. Although the little monk was a little confused, he obediently agreed. Ling Xiao bid farewell to Lin Shi and Jean Sei. After watching the two of them disappear into the void sacred world, he walked towards the little monk. Boy, you really obtained the inheritance of the origin alchemy saint? However, it seems that things didn't go so smoothly for you this time. Is there going to be a bloody disaster? Come. Let this old Taoist tell your fortune to ward off evil spirits. I guarantee that you will be able to turn misfortune into good fortune. The blind old Taoist's nose twitched slightly as he suddenly said with a little surprise. Do you have a dog's nose? How can you know what I experienced in the origin secret realm? Old man, you tricked me again. There was a demon fetus in the origin secret realm. I almost died at the hands of the demon fetus. Ling Xiao said with an unfriendly look as he stared at the blind old Taoist. Demon fetus? After listening to Ling Xiao's story, the blind old Taoist's face revealed a trace of surprise and also a little dignified. It seems that at the end of the era, all kinds of monsters have jumped out. Even the Blood Emperor of the ancient times left behind a backup plan. Boy, since you obtained the inheritance of the origin alchemy saint, you must have also obtained the cultivation method of the eternal world of blood. Remember, don't cultivate the eternal world of blood. The blind old Taoist warned in a very solemn voice. What is the eternal world of blood? Ling Xiao asked curiously. In the ancient times, the ancestor of the blood world, the Blood Emperor, died in battle. However, he left behind the cultivation method of the eternal world of blood. The Blood Emperor had already cultivated the blood doctrine to the peak of perfection. Anyone who cultivates the eternal world of blood will encounter misfortune and backlash. Legend has it that the Blood Emperor wanted to use the eternal world of blood to revive. Therefore, even the true sages don't dare to touch the eternal world of blood. The blind old Taoist said slowly. The eternal world of blood has such a terrifying origin? Alright. However, you have to remember that the origin's secret realm this time doesn't count. Your information was inaccurate and almost got me killed. The next time I come to the void sacred world, you have to tell me more about the ancient sage's secret realm. Ling Xiao said as he stared at the blind old Taoist. The blind old Taoist's identity was not simple. Cripple Monk was the founder of the Wisdom Temple and was a figure from the ancient times. The blind old Taoist was very likely to be one of the ancient sages. Ling Xiao naturally did not want to let go of such a person who knew the inside of the void sacred world so easily. Rascal, you are simply too greedy. The blind old Taoist was so angry that his beard was in a mess. I don't care. Who asked your information to be inaccurate? Huineng, are you going to continue cultivating with senior wisdom, or are you going back with me? Ling Xiao snorted and looked at the little monk as he asked. The founder has already passed the Prajna Paramitha Heart Sutra to me. I will go back with you, the little monk said with a smile. All right. Chapter 1860. Ling Xiao and the little monk left the Void Saint realm. This time, we actually stayed in the Void Saint realm for more than 10 days. We almost missed the alchemy talisman ceremony. Fortunately, we came back in time. In the secret chamber, Ling Xiao and the little monk opened their eyes. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of emotion. Tomorrow was the alchemy talisman ceremony. This time, he spent a long time in the chaotic secret realm. Although the process was extremely thrilling, in the end, Ling Xiao still gained a lot. In the herb garden, he obtained 9 origin sacred herbs. In the Saint Liquid Galaxy, he condensed hundreds of origin elixirs. In the core of the 9-story pagoda, he obtained the inheritance of the Alchemy Saint and the Sun and Moon Alchemy clan. To put it bluntly, Ling Xiao was now a powerful alchemy saint. With the lifetime experience and understanding of the Alchemy Saint, Ling Xiao's level of alchemy had also reached an unimaginable level. Ling Xiao lived in the Apricot Blossom Tower, but he could feel that the atmosphere of the entire Taishan city had become a little tense. The city defense matrix of Taishan City was called the Taishan 9 Heavens Matrix. At this moment, it was completely activated. The entire Taishan City was dazzling. It was surrounded by 9-colored divine light. It looked like a heavenly palace. There were 9 worlds surrounding it, mysterious and unpredictable. The Taishan 9 Heavens Matrix was very terrifying. It was set up by several great ancestors of Alchemy's Seal Mountain. Even if a real saint dared to rashly enter it, there was no doubt that he would die. The Taishan 9 Heavens Matrix was activated at this moment. It could also be seen that Alchemy's Seal Mountain attached great importance to this alchemy talisman ceremony. In Taishan City, talented cultivators from all the heavens in the divine realm had almost filled up the inns in Taishan City. Although there were many alchemy grandmasters and even extraordinary figures like the alchemy saints, there were also many talented cultivators with powerful cultivation who came here to broaden their horizons and see if there were any alchemy grandmasters and talisman grandmasters who were worth recruiting. Originally, Zhao Ritian became a 9-star alchemy grandmaster in one fell swoop and became famous throughout Taishan City. However, in the past half a month, Zhao Ritian had not appeared. Coupled with the fact that more and more alchemy and talisman masters had entered Taishan City, Zhao Ritian was gradually forgotten by everyone. Many alchemy geniuses and talisman geniuses had appeared in the world. They had become popular candidates for the champion of the alchemy talisman ceremony. Everyone was discussing spiritedly. The atmosphere was very lively. Everyone was guessing who would be the champion of the alchemy talisman ceremony. Ling Xiao naturally did not care about this. Although he had returned from the void sacred world, he did not come out of seclusion. Instead, he continued to cultivate in the secret chamber and digest the Hunyuan Alchemy Saint's inheritance. The next day, the bright sun shone through the sky and fell on the earth, dyeing Taishan City pure gold. Clang, clang, clang. A total of 9 ancient and melodious bells rang out, which immediately alarmed everyone in Taishan City. Everyone's eyes were filled with excitement as they rushed to the center of Taishan City. The city lord's mansion in the center of Taishan City was where the ceremony of alchemy and talisman would be held. Ling Xiao and the little monk also left the secret chamber. They immediately saw Lu Wenlong and Lu Qingwan outside the secret chamber, who were already very anxious. "Brother Zhao, you have finally come out of seclusion." Lu Wenlong immediately breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Ling Xiao. His eyes were full of surprise. "Zhao Ritian, you sure can keep your composure. There are many alchemy geniuses in this alchemy talisman ceremony. I am afraid it will not be so easy for you to win the championship." Lu Qingwan also said with a smile. "It doesn't matter. They are all useless people. The champion of alchemy in this alchemy talisman ceremony will definitely be me," Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. His expression was very calm, but his voice revealed a strong fluctuation of confidence. You are just bragging. My brother, Lin Shi, and Xiao Rui all have hopes of winning the championship. This time, the personal disciple of our Mount Alchemy Talisman Master has also come out of seclusion. He is the favorite to win the championship this time. You have no hope. Lu Qingwan curled his lips and said, Brother Zhao, my sister is right. You may have hopes of defeating Lin Shi and Xiao Rui, but the disciple of the Mount Alchemy Talisman Master is really strong. He has the same peerless talent as Lin Shi, but he also has a kind of origin source flame. Although he is only a 9-star alchemy grandmaster, he can refine a supreme divine pill. Lu Wenlong said seriously, Origin source flame? What kind of origin source flame is it? Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback. In the immortal realm, there were the divine flame, saint flame, and origin source flame. The divine flame and saint flame were already considered very powerful, but the origin source flame contained the origin of the great Tao, and even had the power to turn something rotten into something magical. All origin source flames were born from heaven and earth, nurtured by the sun and moon, and formed by fate. If one could obtain an origin source flame, it would be extremely beneficial for one to become a saint. Number 301st on the origin list, Xiantian Origin Source Flame. Lu Wenlong said slowly, It can actually be on the origin list? It is indeed extraordinary. Ling Xiao nodded. Although the origin source flame was born from heaven and earth, there were a total of 360 kinds of origin source flames since ancient times. The Xiantian origin source flame was ranked number 301st on the origin list, which was indeed extremely extraordinary. In addition to the Mountain Master's disciple, there is another person you need to pay attention to. He may be your strongest opponent other than the Mountain Master's disciple. Lu Wenlong suddenly said, Oh, who is it? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Ling Xiao. Lu Wenlong said seriously. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat, and he almost thought that he had heard wrongly. His eyes widened as he looked at Lu Wenlong in disbelief. The person I'm talking about is called Ling Xiao. Brother Zhao, you don't know, but Ling Xiao is naturally close to fire, and his attainments in alchemy are extremely high. He also became a 9-star alchemy grandmaster in the Dan Talisman College by refining the 5 elements divine pill, but did you know? The time he took to refine the 5 elements divine pill was less than half of yours. Lu Wenlong said with a solemn expression, and his eyes were filled with incomparable amazement. Cough, cough, cough. The person you're talking about, Ling Xiao, is actually so powerful? It seems that I really need to see it for myself. Ling Xiao coughed lightly, and his expression was a little strange. Although there should be quite a few people who shared the same name as him in the immortal realm, the sudden appearance of such a genius in alchemy made him somewhat uneasy. Ling Xiao even had some suspicions about the origins of this person called Ling Xiao. You will naturally see him during the Dan Talisman ceremony later. The brother Zhao, look, he is Ling Xiao. Lu Wenlong said with a faint smile. Suddenly, a glint flashed in his eyes as he saw a figure coming out of a small courtyard. Lu Wenlong quickly said. Ling Xiao suddenly turned his head, and when he saw the figure, his face revealed an expression as if he had seen a ghost. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.